And we are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico and I am your in-house conservative. To my left, Rob Ambrose, our token liberal. Our goal is simple. We want to show you that it's possible for a lefty and a righty to not only get along, but to be able to have a civil conversation when we disagree. Because remember, common sense has no political affiliations. What's going on, man?
What's happening, brother? Sorry, guys, if my voice is a little fucked up. I seem to have lost my voice over the weekend, but I did get it back enough to do the show, but still not at my in fighting shape just yet.
How was your maybe weekend? You can pull an Imane Khelif then.
No, yeah, exactly, right. And that's a great segue into that. We'll get to that later, but that's one of our top stories of the day. Hey, Cheryl, how's it going?
You sound more masculine than you normally do, so it's not bad. It's actually not bad at all, man.
Mitchell says, Rob will be a conservative within a year, though. Yes, I know. You guys keep saying it.
Actually, you know what, Mitchell, man? Mitchell, he's more conservative than the Conservative Party in Canada. So,
certainly on some issues.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to become a real conservative like I am, but at least he's as conservative as the Conservative Party of Canada.
Yeah, Mitchell says slippery slope. Yeah, brother, I'm hanging on by my fingernails. Also, I feel like the show really works.
Your manicured,
yeah, my well manicured, groomed fingernails. My mani petty.
You look like the type of guy that does that.
No, give it up. I may be a bit metro, but no, I don't get manis.
I fuck off. A bit. Let's just call it metro, right?
Brother, hey, it's the ladies. It keeps working. If it didn't work, I'd do something else. But
yeah, see, Mitchell Lewis is banging on fashionably liberal, functionally conservative, and gay on the weekends. Yes, you're absolutely
exactly right.
That's why the throat's hurting.
Yeah, no, I don't know how personal we were supposed to get on the show, but I had a fairly ugly breakup over the weekend. So I'm glad that we're back in here. Yeah, I did actually. And I'm not going to talk about it any more than that, but and that may be something to do with my voice is like this. Just a little.
A lot of screaming, is it?
Well, it was one of those, yeah. And I'm not going to talk about it any more than that, but let me just say it is great to be back here with the orphans where I can get my mind off of it because it's been a long weekend. But that is really funny. Fashionably liberal, functionally conservative.
He's basically calling you gay.
That's basically. Yeah. I got it.
And we all know that by girlfriend he meant boy.
That's why. Yeah, that's what happened. That was the breakup. She caught me.
Oh,
she found my Grindr account.
Uh-oh.
No, she didn't actually, of course. It's well hidden. But
exactly.
No, I don't have a Grindr account. But yeah, no, it was one of those ones, man. You don't want to have to go through it twice. And when I say ugly, don't mean necessarily we're screaming, but it's just those relationships where like you both want it, but like certain, outside your control, like we're doing long distance. She's 5 hours away. Adds a lot. Yeah, it's just so much pressure and so much stresses, and we both want to be together. And if she lived in the same city, we would be for sure. But yeah, that's what I mean by ugly. Not that we're like hate each other or anyone did anything wrong. It's just high emotion, high intensity. But it's in the past, and I am glad to be back with you guys here now. How was your weekend?
Man, I've been there. You have to move if you want it to work. You have I was about that. I was in where was I back then? Ottawa. Yep. My ex was in Toronto. Yeah. I actually moved. I got my job transferred. Luckily, I worked for Rogers back then, so they needed guys anywhere in Toronto. Right? I made more money going over there than I did in Ottawa, but yeah, unless you're ready to, one of the two is ready to move. And considering you have a kid where you are right now, it makes no sense for you to do it, right?
No, exactly. And that's what I said to her. I was like, I can't go for at least next 2 years till he's graduated. It's just one of those things where it's unfortunate because no one did anything wrong. But We gave it a try. We've been doing it for a few months, but like you said, it's really hard. I think like if you're an hour away or something, you can make that work.
Oh no, an hour is fine. An hour is no problem. Actually,
5
that
hours.
hour is kind of cool because you don't
nice.
get the pop-ins. You don't get the pop-ins, bro.
Yeah, you get some space built into it. You don't have to say like, listen, maybe we'll just take a few days apart, and it doesn't have to be a big deal. So you hate me? Oh, you hate me? Is that what it is? Why do you hate me? Are you cheating on me? No, I'm not.
I get it, man.
Mitchell, conservative dissonance, man. He's crushing this. No, Mitch, I'm in Fredericton, on the East Coast, other side. My ex, the girl I'm trying to work with, she's in Halifax, so we're about 4-hour drive. And it is, it's just far enough that it's a little too far. But yeah, no, you were.
It's a pain in the ass, man. I've done it.
Yeah,
I know
it is.
I've done it.
Yep. So what's
let's start. You know what? Let's start.
Jump into it.
Fuck, I edited so much content over the weekend. It's man. People that don't edit content don't realize how much time an actual good reel can take. Like sometimes it's literally 5 minutes. I know the subject. I'm just in the mood. I'm just 20 seconds long. Boop. I make 500,000 views, 1 million views, and it's like nothing. But there's some reels like.
You made one that was
that's
really,
the one I'm talking.
Okay, yeah. I thought it was really good. It looks super professional.
Yeah, and the worst part is that I did it off my phone. I do that often. Yeah. I do the rough cut off my laptop. Yeah, man. So to put it in perspective, this weekend it was, I think, Saturday morning. I'm just browsing X. And I fall on a speech from an unknown conservative. I had no idea who that guy was. His name is David Bexty from Bow River. And he gave an 8-minute speech during Parliament last week regarding King Charles' visit and the way Carney was. And he represents Alberta. So I took the 8-minute video, I broke it down to about 2 minutes, added music, a shit ton of pictures and kind of videos, and I made the following. I don't know for you, man, but when I rewatch it, it actually makes me emotional. Like I'm looking, I want guys like that. That's why because man, it took me 3 to 4 hours easy to make that reel, and it just fucking catches me in the heart. And
the music was a nice touch, for sure.
Yeah, on some videos it's worth it. Some videos it's not. It makes no difference. It doesn't serve a purpose. But this one, I did it on purpose. But man, I got a lot of comments on it. It's gonna start. Like it's at that point that it probably will go viral. Like it's about to cross 10K view on Instagram. Normally, when you get there, I wouldn't be surprised that in the next couple of days it's gonna be 200,000-300,000 views, because it's timeless. What he's talking about is going to be applicable next week and the week after. It's not going to change. It's not topical for today, but let's just watch this. Let's just start the show with this because it kind of pumps me up.
Yeah, I like it.
I ran to represent the people who built this country, and now watch it being dismantled by people who don't understand it. And worse, don't even like it. This week, the Prime Minister stood before this country and promised more of the same. A new housing bureaucracy, a new set of buzzwords instead of a budget, and more red tape instead of results. And not a word, not a single word about oil and gas pipelines or the workers who drive our economy. Let's be honest with Canadians. We don't need to renew the consensus on immigration, the one that's fueled the Liberal political ambition for a decade. We need to rebuild this country for Canadians. We don't need to gaslight working families into acceptance of out-of-control immigration while wages stagnate, house prices explode, and services collapse. We need to restore common sense and put Canadians first in their own country. We don't need more empty promises. We need paychecks you can raise a family on, homes you can actually afford, and streets you feel safe walking down. We need less gatekeeping, less government, and a whole lot more grit. I promise to rip this place down to the studs and start rebuilding a country we can recognize again. The Prime Minister this week showed he's here to do the opposite. Behind the pageantry and parades, he disrespected the Crown by using the King to deliver a tired and empty speech, meant to distract Canadians from a simple truth. He's still stumbling forward on the heels of Justin Trudeau's failed record. Mr. Speaker, I have deep respect for our institutions, but what Canadians needed this week wasn't ceremonial flourishes, they needed substance. Not sentiment, but solutions. Not more speeches from elites in suits, but action from people in coveralls. The farmers, the builders, the rig hands, the parents wondering how they'll afford groceries and meat at the same time. Canadians are tired of being lectured. They're tired of being told everything is fine when they can see with their eyes that it's not. This country has a proud and noble history. It was built by pioneers, sustained by families, and defended by those willing to risk everything for the promise of freedom and prosperity. But after a decade of mismanagement and division from the Liberal front bench, that promise is fading. I didn't come here to rub shoulders with royalty. I came here to fight for the families, farmers, and energy workers who build this country.
Love it.
And I'll keep fighting until the Liberal government gets the message. Because that promise still lives, and I intend to keep it.
Wow.
Fuck, man. That video makes me emotional. And I'm the one that edited it. Fuck.
Yeah.
Such a great. That dude is awesome. I really hope I can get him on the show.
As Mitchell
I'm
says.
really hoping that I can get him because goddamn.
Well, I mean, everything he says is right. Like it's 100% right. We don't need to go back to the Liberal consensus on immigration. We need a new consensus. What we've been doing for the last 10 years has been immigration is the goal, and we fit Canada and Canadians into it when we can. Canadians should be the goal, and we fit immigration into it where we can. The immigration should be working towards the goal of helping Canadians. Not Canadians should be working towards the goal of enabling immigration. It's completely backwards, the priorities. And I don't know how they did this. They slipped this into the back door. Nobody voted on this. There was no elections held on this. They just did it. And now if you say, no, wait a minute, I don't like that. Now you're racist. Now you're a bigot. Now you're a xenophobe. And it's like, fuck that. That's bullshit. Everybody needs to speak up against this. Those of us on the left like me and those of us on the right like you who have been speaking about it for a while, we all need to recognize that this is a real problem.
I don't even have anything to add. The video in itself is just everything he said is bang on. But if you guys want to see the video, literally, this is what I started with. Just to put it in perspective, I found the video on, it's a Rebel News video. It's 8:48. It's
here with a promise, one that shaped my family across generations.
This is the video I started with. And I know that most people will never watch an 8-minute and 48 people will never watch an 8-minute and 48-second video. So that's why I took the time to chop it down to what I knew would work. Because that guy, I can only imagine if we would have had a Pierre Poilievre ready to talk like that. If Pierre Poilievre would have put his big boy pants and start delivering speeches like that would have changed his complete career. And I hope that I can get that guy the video. Because I know he posts that on. If he posts a video like this on his social, his fucking social are gonna.
Is he a MP or is he a member of provincial parliament?
No, he's a federal MP for Bow River in Alberta. So I'm really trying to get that guy to check the video. I would love to give it to him. Like I would remove our logo at the bottom. I would remove it. Like I would just give it to him so that he can use it because.
Yeah, you should.
Some of the comments that I got on the Instagram, bro, are just like people are tearing up. It's like what we need.
I thought it was a great video or a great reel, and it reminded me of something that we like. Where did the politicians go with? You could call it soaring oratory. You know what I mean? That the speeches that give you that feeling in your chest, in your heart. Nowadays, it's just slogans and buzzwords, and nobody. And you know why? Because slogans and buzzwords are safe. They've been ran through so many fucking focus groups. Everybody knows. They know. Okay, this does not offend 63.2% of people. This is acceptable to 71% of people. But no, it doesn't jazz anybody up. It doesn't get anybody because that kind of oratory, the speech that makes you feel something, is by definition risky. It's politically risky, and nobody wants to take that risk. But we need to get back to that time where you listen to a politician speak. When's the last time you heard a politician speak and he made you feel something? not just agree with his policies, but feel something. There aren't any. And we really need to get back to that, I think.
Bro, this guy actually touched me. Like when I was listening to his video, no music, no nothing, he's just talking, I could feel the passion. I could feel the passion in a very traditional, boring member of parliament speech. But this is just, I'm the one that fucking did it. I listened to his speech for 4 fucking hours. I just listened to it again and I'm still water tears, because this to me is exactly what a politician should be sounding like. He should be in there to say, you know what? Fuck what's going on right now. Fuck the way it is. We need to fucking drop the shit that we're doing right now and take care of Canadians. We need to. One of the comments that we got on the YouTube channel on this is that you can't start and destroy the parliament and destroy everything that we've built. I'm like, hey, asshole, go listen to the video. He didn't say that he wanted to destroy. He wanted to.
If they hear that, that's on them. That's on them.
That's not what because what he said, I left it in there to make sure. What he said is, I want to deconstruct it to the studs, meaning let's keep the strong foundation that we have, remove all the fucking fluff, and let's do what's right for Canadians. Plain and simple. That's all.
And that needs to be done on so many issues all across the government, but especially immigration. Just do away with all the things that, all the narratives that we're told are just consensus that we're expected to believe. Like, for example, diversity is our strength. Everyone accepts that. No one questions it. But is it? Like, is it actually? Because if you're going to make a claim like that, let's have some metrics. Let's have statistics. Let's have some actual facts. And you never hear any. It's always just slogans. Diversity is our strength. Diversity is our strength. Really? What if you took what if you took 1,000 people from the criminal population of every single country in the world? You'd have a very diverse group and an extremely violent and unproductive group. That clearly, the mere fact of diversity has nothing to do with strength. There is diversity that can give strength, and there's diversity that can give weakness, and the two have nothing to do with each other. What does have to do with strength in the context of immigration is bringing quality people over here. Doesn't matter if they're diverse. It also doesn't matter where they're from. If you have an extremely diverse population by bringing the best, that's great. That is your strength. But if you have if you just bring diversity for the sake of diversity, and that means you're bringing low quality people, criminals, poor people, uneducated, unskilled, then that's not your strength. That's a weakness. And I haven't heard a politician say anything like that, where we just need to, because right now, even the conservatives, both the right and the left, are dancing around the consensus on so many issues. They're it's clear that the consensus is not working, and they keep trying to force it in. They keep trying to force square pegs into round holes. And this guy's saying, hey, wait a minute. Why don't we just step back, strip it all down to the bolt, start with some core assumptions like immigration should benefit Canadians, period, and then work from there, instead of saying immigration should be at a certain level, period, and then try to make it work within Canadian society. They have everything backwards. And if more politicians start speaking out like this, then the country will be in a much better trajectory than it is now. And I say that as a liberal.
But what I like about his speech is that immigration was just one of the things.
Yeah.
Because I'm starting to realize, the more that I speak about immigration and the problems that we have, the more that people get really turned off by it from the get-go, because we're so conditioned to believe that it's racist to question immigration, that as soon as you have someone that's listening to this, they're like, I'm not quite comfortable with this. So I like the fact that he just kind of inside it to say, can we stop with this shit? He doesn't go on a rant on immigration. He goes on a rant of, let's put Canadian first. And I don't know anybody that can disagree with his message.
How can you, right?
It's brilliant. The way he said it was fucking brilliant. That is the only reason I spent literally my Saturday morning restructuring it in a way that would apply to all Canadians. Because if you listen to his 8-minute video, he's in Alberta and he speaks for Alberta. But I wanted to, his video was so good that I wanted to chop it down in a way that it would be applicable to everybody in Canada. Because he's clear. He represents Bow River, and that is who he's trying to help. That's his job. That's why he was elected. But his message was so powerful that it doesn't apply just to Albertans. It applies to every single fucking Canadian that wants
100%.
Canada to be Canada from 40 years ago, the Canada I grew up in.
Yeah. And I mean, guys, if there's anyone tuning in right now and you're not sure what we're talking about, just zoom back to probably 2 minutes in when we play this clip that this reel. It was a speech. What do we know his name? Keene?
David Bexte. David Bexte.
He gave a speech on immigration that seems like
immigration is just on Canada. It has nothing to do with immigration. He just hints at it, but that is not the point. His whole point is just because he calls out Trudeau. He calls out Carney on especially putting Canadian first. So he's like oil and gas. Like, let's stop with this bullshit and let's start producing. He wants Canada to be able to depend on Canadians instead of depending on other countries. Like, it's just such a solid speech.
Yeah.
But it had been a while. It had been a really long time since I heard a politician, since I had a politician touch my heart. Like, I don't like politicians, but he didn't sound like one. He sounded just like a fucking pissed off Canadian that's just like, you know what? Fuck this shit. We need to stop with this political correctness. But yet he still did it in a way that was still very polite. He just said the things that needed to be said, but a lot more, it's going to be a lot more appealing to everyday people because he's not being belligerent in the way that I would have presented it. So there's a lot of tact in the way that he approached it that I do not either possess nor want.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's been a long time since you hear a politician speak like that, and it's really refreshing.
I can't think of one. Like, I know Canadian politics, that's probably my favorite speech I've heard ever. And I can't think of a speech right now outside of years and years ago or just motivational speech like I enjoy that really spoke to me politically speaking. It's been a long time since I've heard somebody with that much passion in his mouth.
Oh yeah, and I mean, if you start having politicians start talking like that, that's going to be a powerful thing. Or even if it's just him, but he gets a following.
You know, I just posted as we were speaking. I went to where I found the video, and I just posted the video in. So the video that I kind of took.
You found it.
I'm like, hey guys, I did this. This guy needs more of an audience. Like, just here's the video. Because I'd like for that video to end up in his hands and just so that he can promote that stuff because it's so powerful what he says in there. He deserves the audience. He deserves the audience.
I assume he's a conservative politician, but that really is not a partisan speech. Yeah. There's nothing partisan about that whatsoever. It's just, that a liberal would not give that speech. That's the only reason it's partisan. But there's, as far as the actual facts on the ground in the speech, there's nothing partisan about that. There's nothing like anyone in theory, not even liberals should be able to disagree with that. Now they will, because they'll be like, it's promoting hate speech. No, it's not, you fucking idiot. It isn't. Like, as a society, we need to just not even argue with those idiots. Just shut them down. No, you're an idiot. Fucking get to the back of the bus. Nobody's listening to you.
Not even. Yeah, there's no point even engage. There's no point engaging with them.
Go wait in the truck. But what the reason they've had power over the last 10 or 20 years is because we're all like, oh no, hate speech. Well, we better change it. We're dancing around these idiots, and we need to realize that they don't even believe the shit that they say. All they care about is finding something wrong with it. If you accommodate them on this, there will be something else that they have an issue with, and it will never end.
There's really just no point. If there's one thing I've learned over 4 years of content creation and all the millions and millions of views that I get is really that you need to learn to pick and choose the people you answer with or you interact with. Yeah. Like there's a guy that posted on one of the reels that there's a guy that commented on one of the reels I posted on the Political Orphans page on X, and the guy is just, oh, this is not true. You guys are exaggerating this and that. It was about that 85% HNR blog's 85% estimate of Canadians living paycheck to paycheck. And I answer him, I'm like, bro, the first thing you do is try to insult me because you don't agree with me, yet you have no facts. You come at me from a emotional response when I'm the one that did hours of research to show that they are correct. Plus, H&R Block is one of the biggest handlers of income tax, so they probably know a lot more than you. So, bro, come at me with facts, but insulting me will kill the conversation. And the only reason I commented is that he left like 2 or 3 comments, and the last one's like, "Oh yeah, exactly like I thought. You guys won't answer." That's why I answered him, because I normally I wouldn't have. But at the end of the day, I run into those people time and time and time and time and time again. It's not even worth engaging with them. But it's sad at the same time. It's sad because they're the people that voted for another 4 years of Carney and don't see a problem, don't seem to want to admit that there's an issue. So it is what it is, man. I can't change everybody's mind, nor do I want to try, because one of my buddy in Alabama, before I left, we were talking, like, just sitting outside on his property, just having a chat between 2 Christian, and he looked at me, he's like, "Nico, man, it's not your responsibility to save people." He's like, think about the Titanic. Our world is fucked no matter what. We're sinking. Your job is not to prevent the Titanic from sinking. Your job is to put as many people on those lifeboats as possible.
Okay, I like that.
And I'm just, he's a teacher, like he's a history teacher. He's a brilliant redneck, like 6'4", 280, looks like, wears Crocs everywhere he goes. Like, he looks like a fucking idiot. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, man. But yeah, he's like, your job's not to prevent the Titanic from sinking. It's sinking. No matter what, it's sinking. You just need to put as many people on those lifeboats as possible. That's it. That's your job.
Yeah, I like that. I like that analogy, the way to look at it.
Yeah, because I've always thought that, since I've been creating content, I've always thought that my job's to prevent the sink from sinking.
And you're never going to be able to. You're never going to be able to.
I really, really can't. So,
I'll take a few of these.
What's going on, Robin? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm done, or else I'm going to go forever on this. But okay. What's going on, Robin? Well, enjoy the listen. Hopefully, you can listen to the soothing voice of the masculine voice of Robbie.
Yeah, well, I lost it over the weekend.
Guys.
So.
Hey, guys.
Cookies. Cookie Monster over here. Tammy says, join late and scroll back to see the video. Excellent cut, Nico. This guy gives me hope. We need more of this from our politicians. If anyone is listening and they just joined in, you might want to just scroll back to the beginning. We jump into a reel that Nico had made in the first 2 minutes, and it's from a speech that a Canadian politician gave over the weekend. It's about, well, he talks about immigration, but what it's really about is fundamentally putting Canadians first in government policies, which should be a no-brainer.
Outrageous.
Right?
Outrageous.
It should be a no-brainer. It should not be outrageous, and yet it somehow is. But it's a great reel, but just the speech itself is it's not even really partisan whether you're on the right or the left. I think everyone can agree with it, and it seems to me to very correctly diagnose the problem that we're facing today and provides a solution for how to get out of it.
Wise guy, when I calmly explain how immigration hurts our country and how Islamic and unskilled immigration can lead to chaos and even take over of a country, he punched me in the jaw for my trouble. Who are you talking about?
Whoa, who's this? Are we talking about Kane? This would be quite the plot twist, because Wise guy said up here, Kane is David's son. I believe Kane is the son of the politician who gave that speech.
Gotcha.
So that, if that's what happened, that would be quite the plot twist. But I'll go. So Dave B here says it's the greatest speech I've ever heard in Canada. Yeah, I mean, that's some of the commentary after the reel that we were saying is just, you don't really hear that soaring oratory anymore. That politician speech that makes you feel something in your chest. And I think we just need more of it. I hope we get back to it, especially when it's not an issue as important as this.
Bro, it's just, for me to take that much time on a reel, it really hit me, because it was out of the blue, man. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm just watching reels on X, and I'm like, what the fuck is that guy? I would have, because most people don't listen to an 8-minute video. I just did.
No, I probably wouldn't, to be honest.
No, most people.
We talk about low attention spans, but like I'll watch like 2 minutes if it's got music and it's like fucking like things going on, explosions and shit. But yeah, just 8 minutes of a speech. Like, yeah. Now, obviously, it's for content creation. Then yeah, it's a little different. But if I'm just scrolling, I wouldn't.
And that's why we did it, just because I figured he deserved the attention for what he did, because it has been a long time.
It deserves a big platform for sure.
Yeah, I agree, man.
So Wise Guy, just quickly, Wise Guy clarifies it wasn't Keen. It was just a good friend of his. Okay, so good to clear that, because apparently Therese says his son, who is Keen, David's son, the politician's son, David Bixby is the guy's name. So his son Keen Bixby works for Juno News, and he speaks just like his dad.
That right there is a perfect segue when you think about it, because this is the next subject I wanted to talk about, and this is our main subject of the day. It is from Juno News, and they reported that Canada took in 817,000 new immigrants in the first 4 months of 2025. I don't know if you've been on social media at all, and it doesn't matter that you were on X or you were on Instagram, even on YouTube. This article went viral. I'm seeing it absolutely fucking everywhere. And normally Juno are pretty bang on. Like they're biased as hell. Like they're very conservative party leaning, but they're normally pretty good. So I saw this everywhere. And people are just reposting it. They're not talking about it really. They're just reposting the picture in a nice template, and everybody's outraged. And you know, we talk about immigration all the time. This is a massive problem that we have in Canada. But I'm like, 850,000 new immigrants. That is a shit ton of people.
It's important.
But then I started thinking, I'm like, hold on. Carney is talking about a 5% immigration, which, if you're any good in math, that's 2 million people on 40 million Canadians. So I'm like, 817,000 first quarter, that's about 2,100. So I'm like, that's about just over 2 million. So I'm like, fuck. That's actually not crazy, considering that Carney has talked about 5%, which is 2 million. 3 times 8, what is it? It's 18. It's 24, sorry. So you're not that far off. But turns out that it's not quite accurate. So I started looking, and even in the article, which I have to pay to get the full article, but just the second paragraph is saying that between January and April 2025, 132,000 people were granted permanent residency, while 194,000 study permits and 491,000 work permits, including extensions, were finalized by Immigration, Refugee, and Citizenship Canada. So basically, it is not 800. See, this is where they're wrong.
Well, because the extensions, the word extensions, the key word here.
That's one of them, because 132,100 people were granted permanent residency. That means they were
already here. Yes.
So they were probably, if you look at the stats, that means chances are they were either on a study permit, because something like 30% of people that come to Canada on a study permit end up being a permanent resident within 10 years, or they were temporary workers that apply for permanent residency. So they're not new. 132,000, chances are they weren't new at all. And they're also saying, while 194,000 study permits, which, considering that we have just over 1 million study, like a foreign, we have over just under 1.1 million study permit holders right now in Canada. So 194, not really surprising, unfortunately. And 491,000 work permits, including extensions. You know, the point of the reason I wanted to bring that up is that when I saw it, I'm like, you motherfuckers, you. Because all I saw is the headline with the nice little picture. I saw this, right? I saw just this, and I'm like, you motherfuckers, you. Because in my head, that was on top of what was already here. And I'm not saying this is a good thing because this is a fucking problem. The numbers there are not right. Those problems are fucked. But I thought they were saying that we added another 800,000 on top of what was there. So, guys, the whole point of this is just to make sure that don't just read headlines and expect them to be right, because quite often they are not, and they are clickbait.
Well, and at the end of the day, the real numbers are going to be bad enough. You don't need to make them worse. And all it does is it hurts the argument, because all it takes is someone to say, oh, see how this isn't true. And even if the real number is 600,000 and it's actually still a fucking problem, people will just dismiss it because, oh, it's been proven false. It's fake news, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, it doesn't help your argument to inflate things. Don't give anyone an excuse to dismiss it. Because, you know, people who don't believe this stuff, they want any reason to dismiss it. Just don't give them one.
And it's funny you say that, because I was doing some research this morning, like I always do when I see articles like those. And I found a guy. I don't know who he is. I don't know him. I've never spoken to the guy before. But I saw this video right here. And it was posted on.
I was looking down at the bottom. I see this guy sitting here. I'm like, oh, do we have a guest waiting to come on?
No,
it looks like he's just sitting there waiting. I'm like, what the? Who's Nico? Who's this guy?
But this guy actually speaks about it, and I'm just gonna let it play. It's 6 minutes. I probably won't let it all play, but it's just interesting because he's basically saying things that I was thinking. But when he saw that, just listen to this video. Like, hold on, let me give him credit for it, because I don't.
So we just got Canada's Q1.
What's his name? It's that Agent Kelly on YouTube.
So we just got Canada's Q1 immigration data. This was circling all over Twitter, YouTube, everywhere else, and from a lot of trusted source, a lot of, like, you know, well-respected people in the industry were talking about this. I did a reel on it, got completely destroyed in the comments, had to make a follow-up reel kind of correcting some of the things that I did. And you know, the data for this kind of stuff is very confusing. They make it very hard to understand, right? Like, they said that, you know, Canada brought in 817,000 new immigrants, right? Which they didn't. But if you want to find out how many people actually came to Canada, I looked for hours. I couldn't find this data anywhere. But I'm going to show you what exactly is happening. Okay,
and what I find interesting, and why one of the reasons I wanted to play this video, is that everything he's saying is absolutely right.
Yeah,
I found numbers, but you need to go back to prior years. You're not going to find the numbers for 2025. They're not going to show us that.
And that's probably all done intentionally. They don't want you to be able to know the real truth about what's going on, right?
Either that, or it's like a government. Is it possible? I'm still a conspiracy theorist at the end of the day, so yes, it's possible. But it also could be as simple as they wait till the end of the year, because you'll see he touches on a point of seasonal. So is there more seasonal people? Like, obviously, if we have more than 1 million foreign students, you would imagine that around the beginning of the end of the year, like you're looking at September, August, there's more immigrants showing up to Canada, right? Because that's the new school year. Same thing as if we have a lot of seasonal, you're going to have a lot of people showing up in May, June to start doing those work. So I'm playing devil's advocate here. That's probably one, at least that's the reason they're going to give us. If there's a conspiracy behind it, that's the excuse, right? We're going to wait till the end of the year because it's cyclical. It's not, you don't have a specific amount of people that shows up every day, right? It's scattered, but obviously September is going to be busier, or August probably busier. And you're probably going to get a lot of people showing up at the beginning of summer. So probably May, but it's interesting because it's like he's having a revelation on the video. And I'm like, yeah, bro, I can confirm everything you're saying. I've been there. Yeah.
Basically, this article says the latest federal immigration data shows that Canada welcomed more than 817,000 newcomers in the first 4 months of 2025, which they didn't, because some of these people are already living here, right? So they said between January and April 2025, 132,000 people were granted permanent residency, some of which would already be on work permit. 194,000 study permits were issued. How many of those people were already here? 491,000 work permits, including extensions, were finalized. So again, a bunch of these people were already living here on work permit, and then their permit just got extended, right? But if you want to find out how many of these people were actually living here, I can't find it freaking anywhere. So if anybody has any information on that data, that would be the data that I want to see. Now, that being said, let's look at Canada's targets. Okay. So Canada said in 2025, they aim to admit 395,000 permanent residents. So we're at 132K. So we're above target. I don't know if this works seasonally, like if there's less people coming here in Q2, typically, or less people in Q3. But so far, if there is no seasonally adjusting, if that doesn't change season to season, we're above target, right? They anticipate bringing in 305,000 new students, and we're already at 194,000. So that's well above target.
That is incorrect. Like this is why, there's somebody earlier today that commented on one of my posts saying something. I'm like, where's your source? He's like, Grok. I'm like, bro, I catch Grok being wrong all the time.
All the time.
I told the guy, I'm like any AI out there, which that's what he's using right now. He's using Google AI. So just a Google search AI. They're wrong all the fucking time. I prove them wrong all the time. So it's important for people to start their research with AI and then continue. This is just your basis to see. You should prove that this is right or this is not right, because they're talking about, like he's saying that we just have something like 305, that we're just going to add another 100. We're at 1.1 million right now. If you want to know the number of foreign student as a whole in Canada, you're between 1 million to 1.1 million. So even AI doesn't give you those numbers. You're going to have to dig and count them for yourself.
Well, the thing is AI is kind of like a garbage in, garbage out thing. It's only going to be as good as the numbers it has at its disposal. If something's really, really hard to find, AI is probably not going to do it because it's just using publicly available data. And if it's easily found out there, AI will probably be pretty good source. It'll be right. But if it's not, it's just going to make something up and sound like it's right. It's going to be very confident that it's right.
And Grok is even worse because Grok pulls information off of X. You have to remember that. It's great if you're looking for something like let's see, I saw a video and I'm like, oh shit, I don't remember where I saw it.
Yeah.
It will find it, link it, I can download it. It's great. So technically the AI of Google would have access to more information than Grok, because Grok normally checks his information. Yes, it will use the internet as a whole, but most of the stuff that they talk about is correlated on posts that were made on their platform.
Yeah, and the other thing about AIs is because they're going to use publicly available information, they also rely heavily on consensus. So if something's like a narrative or a hard consensus, it's just going to be biased towards that. For example, I saw
Google.
Well, yeah, exactly. It was a post. It was actually someone used Grok, and it asked Grok something like about the whoops. And I think it was just like, are they safe for babies? Are vaccines safe for babies? And the answer was yes. Multiple vaccines at one time are safe for babies. Their immune systems can handle it, and there are no adverse effects reported or something. And that's just the consensus official narrative. And so that's what it will tell you. So if you're looking to debunk a generally accepted narrative, AI is not your thing.
I love what you just said there, because there's a meme that I keep on seeing on my Instagram. It's basically, so it's okay for me to get 8 different whoop whoop at the same time on my newborn, but I need to be careful about what they eat and not introduce them to too many different type of food at once. I'm like,
exactly right. Can't have beans with carrots.
But you can take those 8 whoop whoop.
Yeah.
Good story, bruh.
Yeah, exactly right.
And then you wanted to bring in 367,000 new temporary workers, and we're already at 491,000. Again, that's including extensions, right? So how many people actually came into the country? That number I can't find, but I do tend to lean towards we are above target, and we're probably going to have a decent amount of immigration, more people living in the country than what was told to us last year when they kind of made this new immigration plan. So I put out this video, right? And I got like completely chewed up in the comments for like misinformation, all this stuff, which it was, because, you know, I basically went off that 817,000 number. I didn't get
what you
into
can
the
do
nitty-gritty of this data and the fact that
a
bunch of people are already living here. But the point I was making remains the same, which is that if immigration stays even at, you know, historical norms, which it looks like we might be above, it's going to put upward pressure on home prices in the long term, because we have.
So he's going to go on a different tangent, but the point is that check your fucking data. Don't just repost what other people are posting just because it suits your agenda. As much as we have an immigration problem, unfortunately, Juno is clickbaity on that article, and they weren't right. Even the worst part is that they contradict themselves. Remember, because in the first line it says new immigrants, and then in the second paragraph it says that some of them were already here. So just be careful, because there is an immigration problem in Canada, but the more we reshare articles like those, as you said, the more it hurts us. It makes us sound like we're full of shit. We don't know what we're talking about. Just like he said as well, like, oh, I reposted it and I got chewed up. Well deserved, bro. Hopefully you learned a lesson, because I wanted to reshare it, but I'm like, no. Let's make sure that this is correct. And unfortunately, it was not.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think, yeah, that's why it's important just to get it right. You know, and again, as I said, the real numbers are bad enough. And not saying you can't report on things like that, but if you just have to report the nuance, right? Say, here's what the number says, 875 to 17,000. It's probably not accurate because of this and this, but the real number is still probably like 500,000. You know, it's still probably really fucking high. You know, so it's just make sure to get it right. And because it hurts your argument, because all it does is allow people who don't want to believe your argument, allows them to tune it out the moment they find something. Oh, so they'll just say, oh, well, if that's not right, the whole thing is trash, and throw it all out. And it's obviously not correct either.
So he spoke again. Mario, talk about it again. I don't remember if he corrects the numbers or not, but considering he's one of the most listened to in conservative politics, let's play the video. I don't remember exactly what he said, because that was one of the first video I saw before seeing the actual June news article.
Canada welcomed more than 817,000 newcomers in the first 4 months of 2025. That's when you tally up the permanent and not permanent streams. And here's what that means. Between January and April of 2025, 132,000 people were granted permanent residency, while nearly 200,000 study permits and nearly 500,000 work permits, including extensions, were finalized by Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, also known as IRCC. Despite pledges made by Prime Minister Mark Carney to tamper the flow of non-permanent immigrants, the numbers are saying a different story. By 2027, Mark Carney's proposed to limit the number of temporary workers and international students to 5% of the total national population. That equates to 2 million individuals based on the current population of 40 million people. His target for permanent resident admissions is nearly 500,000 people. And get this, nearly 2 million people are in a backlog. And IRCC says it aims to process 80% of the applications, but they regularly fail to meet this due to demand and unforeseen circumstances. I'm not sure if you guys knew this, but the first sign of a recession is when youth unemployment rates start to skyrocket. That's because adults, working adults, will take entry-level type admissions to make ends meet. When you have job losses, especially when they're coming from tariffs and other macroeconomic factors, the worst thing you can do to the Canadian population is continue to let in mass immigration into our country. It is a recipe for disaster. Canada welcomed more than 800.
And you know, he knows his number, because it's 2 million. He's bang on. Those numbers are bang on. And to complete what he's saying, we're looking at 14.2 or 14.5 being the unemployment rate for the youth in Canada right now. I was just looking at them this morning. I just posted about it this morning. So 14.5.
Mr. Speaker, the riding that sent me here is called Bow River.
So he's absolutely right. You're looking at mass immigration, and the point of the matter is that most of those jobs are low skilled workers. So
There's no
they're
need
not
for immigrants
people.
for low skilled jobs. It's
Nope.
not necessary. We've got all kinds of low skilled people here. We don't need to bring any more in.
Nope, no, 100%. And see, this is what I posted this morning. So you're looking at, so here's the thing. This is another thing, kind of blew my mind on the podcast that we did last week, that foreign students are allowed to work. I did not realize that until last week. Like, very naive of me, because when I was in school 20 years ago, that was not a thing. You were not allowed to work. You had to have the money ready in order to take care of yourself for X number of years while you're down here. But Canadians are, like, non-Canadians are allowed to work 24 hours a week off campus and as many as they want on campus. But here's the number. It's 14.10 last month was the youth unemployment rate for May 2025. 14.1%. It's insane when you think about it. But yet we have, as per the numbers I was able to find, we're just over 1 million foreign students right now that are allowed to work. And as per the information that I could find, it's somewhere between 470,000 to just over 500,000 of them are currently working right now. Those numbers are not exact because, as the other guy was saying, those numbers are not published. You can't see those numbers right now, but if you go by the latest numbers I could find was from a 2023 Statistic Canada report that said that 47.1% of international students worked mostly in retail, accommodation, or food services jobs. So if you keep the same number for 1 million, you're looking at least 470. We're over 1 million. So you have about 500,000 foreign students right now that are working in jobs that Canadian youth are normally filling, which I paid my studies working at Tim Hortons. I didn't have fucking experience outside of selling drugs, but I can tell you it doesn't represent a lot of experience. Doesn't matter that you've been doing it for years. It doesn't help you out in the real job market. So I didn't have experience, and I paid my studies by making donuts at Tim Hortons. And God knows if you've been to a Tim Hortons recently, I'm not brown enough to work there.
Yeah, you're not exactly right.
I'm not what they're looking for.
No, you don't speak the language. Because it ain't English. All right, should we take a couple of these comments, and then we'll get to the next
Go
up?
for it. Take them all, man. Take them all.
Yeah. All right. So Wise Guy starts it with, it's the great replacement. And I'll just jump. Leah, I'll come back to your comment here in a second, just because Bumpy specifically just responded to that one.
But I agree with him 1,000%.
So Bumpy provides a bit of a rebuttal here. It says, in university, it's open discourse again about using immigration to offset declining birth rates. The great replacement is terrible framing that hurts the right. They identify something as real, but draw false conclusions. Yeah, I mean, I think they're both talking about the same thing here. I think when people talk about the great replacement, what they're really talking about is the result, maybe not the intention. I don't actually think, and some people disagree with me, I don't personally think that there are government lawmakers sitting there thinking, okay, we hate white people and we have to bring in as many brown people so there's no white people. I don't think that's what they're doing, although that might be the end result of what their policies are. I just think that they're trying to fix the birth rate, but they're doing it in such a way that is leading to what people on the right are calling the great replacement. Because at the end of the day, maybe even if it's not the intent, it's certainly the result. It does appear to be that Native Canadians are being replaced by foreigners. A good thing to I think, because we all agree that the birth rate is below replacement level. That is, and there's different solutions we can do to that. Some might go to encouraging higher birth rates, and that would be good, I think. And I think it is a multi-pronged approach. Personally, I think we should start with that. Say, okay, we need to get the birth rate to a certain point in order to continue to replace our population. So immigration then should be based off of that. That's kind of going back to what we talked about before when we said we should start from a place that immigration should benefit Canadians and then work immigration into that. So that means that immigration should probably be just enough to boost that replacement level, or the birth rate just above replacement level. But it should also be done. It matters who we bring in. It's not even overall numbers. It's more who we're bringing in. We should be bringing in skilled workers, educated workers, young families. We should not be bringing in unskilled workers, uneducated workers, criminals, illegals. We shouldn't be doing any of that. So it's a great. I really like this as a debate because I can understand both sides, and I think there's a lot of it's very productive to have this debate.
You know, I think it's a bit naive of you to think that it's not done on purpose, but let's say that it isn't.
Okay.
Let's say that I'll bite, although I don't believe it for a second, but let's
Sure.
say that it's true.
Yep.
Why the fuck are we sponsoring their salary? Why are we paying
yes.
between
100
30
no-
to 70% of their salaries?
No
Why?
disagreement with any of that. And if we were bringing quality immigrants, we wouldn't
we
need
aren't.
to. No, exactly. We wouldn't need to if we were, because they would already have, the ability to finance themselves. They would already have the ability to work at high skilled, high paying jobs that we actually need them in. Right. So
That's exactly my point.
100%.
So why are we sponsoring their salary? Why are taxpayers paying for low skilled workers? Right
Yes,
then and
and
there, that
completely
destroys the argument
agree,
that
completely
it's
agree.
not done on purpose.
Well,
Now,
and just
why?
sorry, you
No,
finish.
but another point: why would there be more than 40% of them coming from India? Why?
Well, that's yeah.
Are you starting to tell me that the most educated, the best workers on the planet are from India? Like, is that what you're telling me? You know what? Let's forget about.
Well, no,
that.
I don't think they're bringing in the most educated and the best, most skilled. I think
I'm
they
not necessarily
should be.
talking to you, but I'm not
Okay,
talking to you
I got you.
directly. I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Sure.
So why are we sponsoring 30 to 70% of their salaries? Why are they, the vast majority of them, coming from India? And tell me that Indian culture is the perfect match for our Canadian culture.
Oh yeah, I don't know where they came up with that. So yeah, and I think kind of what you're saying about like the intention. At the end of the day, in some ways, I think that's a red herring, that whole debate, because it doesn't matter the intention. What matters is the result, right? Their intention can be.
They're not stupid.
Yeah,
nobody can convince me that the guys in power are stupid, because this is the first mistake that most people do, is to assume that people they don't like or don't agree with are stupid. They're not stupid. Never underestimate the people you don't like because you don't like them. They know what they're doing. Now, is it done as a white people replacement for brown people? You can argue until you're blue in the face. You can't prove it. You really can't prove it.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody can tell me that they're not doing it on purpose by sponsoring their salaries with taxpayers' money and by taking about a third of them from the same country that their values don't align with ours.
Yeah, I agree, and I agree with that. And that's what I mean. Like, in some ways, having the debate about if it's intentional or whether they just hate white people or whatever kind of is beside the point, because at the end of the day, the policies, what they're doing, you don't need to know their intention to say they should not be doing this. They should not be paying 40% of their salaries. We should not be bringing in people who cannot financially support themselves, period. There is enough high quality, high skilled workers out there that we can fill our quotas with only bringing in these people. But the funny thing is, if we keep bringing in the low quality unskilled workers, there won't be any more. Those high skilled workers will not want to come here because it won't be the country that it is right now, or maybe it might even be too late, the country that it used to be. And so, yeah, I think again, a good example here where we disagree on some of the particulars, but our overall assessment is the same. The problem is in the policies. We need to stop doing what we're doing.
No matter what you think is behind the policies, the point of the matter is there's a problem with the policies. And you know what? It's not even a liberal policy. This is a conservative policy, just so you guys know. When I was in school in early 2000s, it was not legal for a student to come here and work. It was not legal. It's the conservative that made it legal. Just so you guys know, it's under Harper that it became legal. Now, he did not open the floodgate like Trudeau did. But all I'm saying, those policies were put in place by Harper's government. Trudeau just like,
no, that's right. That's right.
He just opened it because it changed around 2005, 2006. So he had the power to stop all that shit if he wanted to. But unfortunately, it opened the door to a guy like Justin Trudeau. And obviously, Marx Carney is going to continue doing it even worse.
Yeah.
But I like Lee's comment here. The immigrants that come will not realize their Canadian dream and start protesting against Canadians, just like they see happening in France. Can we not learn from others unless the goal is the same? This is the problem. What's the goal? And this is where Rob and I disagree. I believe that there is an agenda behind this. There's a reason why they're doing it. And as Lee said a bit later on, she does talk about the Century Initiative. This is not even a fucking conspiracy theory. Our super friend Marx Carney has talked about it. He wants to have 100 million Canadians by 2200, by 2100. That's 65 years from now. 75 years from now. So this is not a conspiracy theory. He said it himself that that's the goal. How do you get it? Immigration. And especially with immigration, that will have a lot more kids. A lot more kids. But Cheryl's point here is saying, why not make life affordable for Canadians so that they can have children? It's even more than that. You should have incentives for Canadians to have children, like a tax break, for example. We were just talking about that, my wife and I, the other day, where can you imagine if the Canadian government would say, you know what? You're going to have kids? Okay, awesome. We'll just cancel your income tax for a year so that you can take care of your son, daughter, whatever, so that one of you can stop working if you really want to. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's make an incentive. Just, we're not giving you money. We're not taxing you instead. It's your money. We won't tax you. Just, you know what? Keep that salary. We won't take any income tax so that you can take care of your kid. Imagine if that was an option. You're not giving me money. You're not just taxing me.
So Cheryl says, so why not make life affordable for Canadians so they can have children? I mean, I clearly am in full support of making life more affordable for Canadians. I don't really think that's the main issue, though. I mean, that's part of it for sure. But I think it's a very complex issue. The birth rates have been declining in industrialized countries for decades and decades. It seems like as soon as a country becomes industrialized, birth rates drop. There's some structural stuff going on. I think as soon as a society changes from a primarily agrarian economy, where most people are farmers or food producers, and in such a society, having lots of kids is an economic benefit because they can help out around the farm, this and that. As soon as you transition from that to an industrialized society, now kids become an economic drain, and it doesn't really matter if life is affordable, and it's just the structure of the society. So there's a lot more going on than just pure affordability, but it doesn't need to be an either or. I fully agree that life should be more affordable, and I think all of our policies, regardless of the children thing or the birth rate, should be put towards making life more affordable.
So if that's the case, why do you have states like Alabama that have a higher birth rate? They're not in the fields. Believe me, I spent a lot of my time down there.
Well,
they're not in the fields.
What is their birth rate compared to, say, the national average? I would say it's still quite low.
You only need 2.1. Like Canada numbers, I don't know the US numbers by heart, but Canada's around 2.1 if you want to replace the people that are here. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with going from cultivating to being more industrialized. If you look at when the birth rates normally plunge, especially, like, I'm talking for North America because I don't really care about the rest of the world there, but it's when we went woke. It's when we started telling, if you look after the Second World War, women wanted to work. They didn't have a choice. Like, men were gone. They worked in industry. They supported the war effort.
Yep.
And when the men came back, there's a lot of women that are like, hey, I enjoyed working. We can bring 2 salaries, blah, blah, blah. I'm not debating if that's right or wrong. That's a personal choice, whatever floats your boat. But this is where it started. And now look at women. If you look in Alabama, for example, women are still encouraged to have kids. Like, people are encouraged to get married early and start having kids right away. Like early 20s, kids have, those parents have kids. They're married young, they have kids. But this is not something that we see here because we have sold the idea to women that having kids is just like, whatever. Your career is more important.
What?
Yet,
and that,
if you look at
that plays a role too.
Of course it does. We're literally telling our daughters not to, that there's a problem with wanting to be a mother. Are you kidding me? It's like the greatest fucking gift God ever gave you, is to be able to bear life. Are you kidding me? That's something that I can do. You can't do that, but they can. So yes, it's a multifaceted problem. There's no doubt about it. There is a problem that's economy driven, that people don't just have the money, but also I think there's a lack in the want. It's no longer a priority for the younger generation, especially women. They think in their head they can wait and they can wait and they can wait and they can wait. You know what? I'll concentrate on my career now, and then I'll have kids maybe one day.
Oh yeah.
Yet,
Absolutely.
unfortunately for women, it becomes harder and harder and harder and harder for them to have kids. And if you look at studies, they say that women are normally twice as likely to be depressed in their 30s as like compared to men. And women that don't have children in their 30s are twice as likely to be depressed than mothers. So don't tell me that not having kids for women doesn't play a role, because statistically speaking, it does. So
yeah. Oh, yeah, no, it does. There's again, it's a multifaceted problem. There is an affordability component to it. There absolutely is an ideological component to it. Just the messaging that young women are getting. Part of it is cultural, that the nuclear family has been de-emphasized. There is part of it is, again, cultural, in that selfish consumerist me culture. The instant gratification. I don't want to give up my traveling, my eating out every week, and all of those things. There's all kinds of things. But yeah, it's I don't think that there certainly isn't going to be just one solution, but I think if we ever do fix it, it will require a multifaceted solution. It will require cultural effects. It will require messaging, certain ideological changes, also addressing affordability and all those sorts of things.
Cheryl's saying at Nico, exactly, it would be cheaper to offer incentive than bring in foreigners and support them. I can't say if yes or no, because I haven't done the research, I haven't seen the studies, I don't know what the numbers are, but to me it would make a lot more sense to just put Canadian first. I don't think anybody can argue with stop supporting people from other countries that their values don't align with ours, and subsidize their salary with taxpayers' money to bring them here and to compensate them, when we could simply bring in incentives so that couples could see a break when it came to money and have more kids. Because that's definitely one of the problems. I don't think anybody can argue that money is a problem when you have kids. I don't think anybody can argue that, right?
For sure it is. And I'd even simplify this a little bit. We can even decouple that from the birth rate issue. Even if like, so as Cheryl says, it would be cheaper to offer incentives to bring in foreigners to support them. Even if that doesn't touch the birth rate, we should just not be supporting foreigners. Even if it doesn't do any other thing to address any other problem, just as a basic rule, we just should not be supporting foreigners. That's it. Period.
You're so racist, Rob. Stop being so fucking
like racist. We shouldn't be bringing in people that we need to support. That's crazy. They should be helping support the rest of us. That's the whole point of making your immigration system work for the country.
100%. Wise guy saying, if we went back to having 6 to 8 children, encouraging you people, what do you mean by you people?
Whoa.
You people to marry, we would meet the objective set on our own. And 6 to 8. Yeah, you people, you're so fucking racist. People. That is a great fucking mistake to make. But it is true that 6 to 8 might be a lot for people, but imagine that housing weren't overpriced the way that they are right now. Imagine that you didn't support immigrants for low-end job. Instead, you'd put Canadian first. Having 2-3 children a family would not be far-fetched anymore. Like, I started old, like I haven't even had my first one, and I'm hoping I can have more than one. I don't know, but I'm hoping we can. Like, I'm hoping that we're capable of doing it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's got like 6 to 8 isn't much. So if the number is 2.1, that means you could probably get there.
3.
You make it 3. There if 70% of people had 2 kids and 30% had 3, and that's it, that would probably get you to 2.1 or higher.
No, I agree, man. It's
Yeah, eight would be a lot. I don't know if we're ever going back to those days.
jeez, yeah,
But
yeah. Wise guy saying my mother
2 to
had
3
10.
seems, yeah, 2 to 3 seems reasonable, right? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. That doesn't seem that crazy.
At least it doesn't sound crazy to me. But wise guy saying
No.
that my mother had 10 children. How many do
Yeah.
you have? Do you have 8 or 8? Did you have 6 or 8, Mr. Wise guy? I know you didn't. That's why I'm being a smartass. That's exactly why I'm being a smartass. One of the things I wanted to talk about this morning, like, I sent you the video I made about Pride Month.
Yep.
Fucking Pride Month.
Let's just call it June again. Let's just go back to calling it June.
Well, you know what bothers me is that I was looking into this morning. In 1995, it was in 1994, June was recognized officially as Men's Mental Health Month.
Mm-hmm.
Then Bill Clinton in 1999 changed it to Pride Month. And now we celebrate people's sexuality for a full fucking month instead of asking the men around us, are you okay? And this morning I was doing some research like I do every day, and that kind of bothered me, man. Like, I really like this guy. Do you know John Brankus?
Yeah, I've seen him. His face familiar. I've seen him on ESPN.
He was Sports Science. Fucking loved that show. Absolutely loved that show. Well, it turns out he unalived himself over the weekend.
Oh, wow. No way.
So, yeah, like I saw this video, and I don't know the guy, but I love Sports Science. Fucking love that show. That show is awesome. And yeah, so I didn't even know he was having an issue, but considering that it's June and it's Mental Health Month, I wanted to play this video for him.
Sure. John Brinkus died Saturday. He was 54 years old. And if you watched or consumed ESPN really in any capacity from 2007 to 2017, you saw the show that he created and hosted, Sports Science. The show won 6 Sports Emmy Awards. And John was uniquely talented and singularly brilliant at not only analyzing sports, but then translating sports and science to generations of fans in memorable ways, because John was memorable. His company, Brinks TV, released a statement saying that he lost his battle with depression on Saturday. So if you or a loved one or a friend or a former coworker or colleague is suffering or just need someone to talk to, call or text 988 using any phone that you can get your hands on. You are not alone. And this world is a better place with you in it. This world was a better place with John Brinkus in it. He was 54 years old. More Sports Center after this.
You never know, eh? You see, you'd think this guy has it all. He's got the successful career, family, and just you never know what people are struggling with.
Bourdain, do you know that guy? Do you know
Anthony Bourdain? Yeah, he was classic example of that.
So in Montreal, where I'm from, one of my favorite, I would say my favorite restaurant is called Vin Papillon. And the guy that owns the store, that owns the restaurant, he owns a few in Montreal, was one of his best friends. And I got the chance to meet the owner a few years back. We're just chilling on the patio, just eating and drinking. And he came over, we started talking, and that's what he was saying. He's like, bro, behind closed doors, you never know. But he was explaining how chefs struggle with that a lot because it's very high stress job. They drink a lot. They do a lot of drugs to stay awake. Their life is all around partying, right? People that show up, you go to Vin Papillon, you know you're not getting out of this within $200 like $200 a people. Like it is expensive. But all to say that same thing with Robin Williams. You know, one of his famous quotes is saying that most people that are depressed are going to try to make other people laugh to make themselves feel better. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing.
Comedians are famously fucked up, right? Like that's
it's just, I found it unfortunate that we're celebrating people's sexual preference instead of recognizing that the men around us are struggling. And if they are struggling, you know, most of them will not tell you. But what would it take for people to just be aware and ask? Because often we talked about this, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole again, but just to say that often men, all they want is recognition, and sometimes just approaching them and just to go to them and just say, you okay? Need to talk? Want to have a drink? Want to smoke a cigar and just shoot the shit? No matter what the fuck it is. Sometimes that's all men need. So
yeah, that's great advice. And I think, I think a lot of it is that obviously women have their own mental health issues. They struggle as well, but there is certain messaging. Women are allowed to ask for help, and they're encouraged to. And yeah, I mean, I know officially men are encouraged to, but I think any man knows that you have to be careful how you go about that, because there are often the people who will say, oh yeah, come to me for help. Like if you actually do, I was like, sometimes you get a different response from what you're getting, because there's still, we all talk about the pressures women face, and of course they do, but men face a lot of pressures as well. Pressures to be manly, to be, tough, and to be able to deal with everything. And of course, to a certain extent, that is a good thing. That should be encouraged. You don't want a bunch of blubbering, little bitches run around crying all the time, but it is okay to ask for help, and knowing that most men are not going to ask for help. Yeah, if you have a man in your life who you might be worried about, maybe go up to them and ask them. I think that's great advice.
And I'm not necessarily talking to women right now. I'm talking to men. I'm talking to men speaking to other men, because most men don't want to talk to women about their problems because it's never received the right way.
Well,
and no disrespect,
and they don't want to be seen as weak, and all those things.
No, but there is as much as women want men to be more feminine, as in approach their emotions, they don't really want that.
No, they don't.
So as much as they're going to tell you that, that's not what they want, and we're not stupid. We know this. Well, as men, we know this, right? So I'm saying is the message is for the men out there. Maybe you haven't spoken to one of your buddies in a while. Maybe you have some friends that you're not sure that they're doing well. Bro, it's just, hey, what's up? What's going on, man? You want to have a drink? You want to smoke a cigar? Just shoot the shit for an evening. So sometimes that's all it takes, right?
Yeah, and kind of a great example in pop culture of the phenomenon you're talking about is anyone who's seen Friends. If you remember the episode where Bruce Willis was there, and Bruce Willis's character was dating Rachel, and he was this tough, classic tough guy, right? And Rachel's like, oh, I just wanted to open up and be vulnerable. And the whole, like, they're dating for a couple episodes. He's just a tough guy. And then finally he's like, sits down with her and he tells her about his childhood. And he tells her, like, they call me Chicken Boy or something. He starts crying. and then he keeps telling her his feelings. And over the next couple episodes, she keeps getting more and more turned off. It's like, oh, okay, so I don't want this guy anymore. And it was all funny, but like, there's more than a kernel of truth in that. And men internalize those messages. We know that's what's going to happen. And that's why we don't want to talk to women. So it is, I think,
all our problems the same way.
Exactly.
I've tried to explain that to younger men in the past, where guys, we don't deal with our problems the same way. If I feel like shit, you know what I do? I hit the gym. I go to the gym, I put my headphones on, and I want to be left the fuck alone. I will do something physical to kind of remove that from my head. This is how most men, and I like to punch people in the face. And I'm saying that as in like sparring. If I'm pissed off, if I'm not feeling it, just being in a situation where I don't have to think about my problems and just exert myself physically, often my problems make more sense afterwards.
Yep.
It's really weird, but I know that's how my brain works, and I know that a lot of men out there are the same. So if you haven't spoken to some of your friends in the past, maybe it's time to little texty texts and just say, what's up, bruh?
Yeah, just classic check-in. Back to the what we were talking about before, the immigration thing. Sasquatch says the immigration going on right now in Canada is a way to create GDP growth, but it's fake. Consumer demand goes up. Without it, Canada's real GDP is non-existent. It's done on purpose. Yeah, that's a great point. It creates fake demand. It creates consumer demand, which gives the appearance of GDP. But since no actual productivity is increasing, we're not creating any new wealth. What happens is you just have more mouths to feed, more people who need more toilet paper, more, more magazines, more food. But all the same wealth exists. Now it has to be distributed so they can buy those things too. So it is all, you're correct. It's all kabuki theater. It's fake. And that's, and that we talked a little bit ago about motivations for the immigration policies, whether they're intending to do it or not. This certainly is a motivation too, to hide the lack of productivity and GDP growth, with high immigration, but that's a band-aid, and it's not even a good one. It's a temporary band-aid that at some point is going to come off, and we're going to have to deal with all the same problems. But now it's worse because now we have more mouths to feed, more people whose needs need to be met. So yeah, that's a great comment.
There's no wonder our healthcare, there's no wonder our services, our public services are suffering. You don't have to look further than immigration. You cannot continue adding 2 million people a year that's going to be dependent on those systems and expect them to work when they're already in the shitters, and they've been in the shitters for more than a decade.
Yep.
Like Trudeau did not create the problem. He made it fucking worse.
Well, yeah. That's a great point.
There was a problem prior to it. He just said, fuck you, here's a shovel. I'm going to pile some shit on top of it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And just going back to what you said earlier about, it was Harper that did this. It's a conservative policy first and foremost. And I think that sort of understandings need to be had to understand the whole problem. Conservatives did it because they wanted a cheap labor force. Because remember, most hardcore capitalists and business people are going to be on the right, and they've influenced the conservatives in that way. So they started this, and then the left, they did it for ideological reasons. For them, it was more just be kind, and we need to show the world how tolerant we are. And that's why they almost explicitly go after people who do suck, people who aren't educated, people who are low skilled, because then it's even more so. Look how kind we are. We're taking on all these garbage people, and we're so kind. And that's much worse than the way the conservatives did it. But you have to understand that it is both parties right now if we ever want to really tackle this problem.
Let me take this one from Nancy. I don't think I've ever seen you before, Nancy, so welcome to the show. But Nancy is saying Liberal Canada let in 815,000 immigrants who are prioritized over native-born Canadians. That's a fact. I would suggest you rewind this episode because we went over it. It's not quite accurate. They didn't let them. They're not new immigrants. Not
all of those are new.
That's a great term, by the way. I never heard that one before, but I like it.
Immigrants.
There is, but don't get me wrong, Nancy. As much as I say that this is not accurate, the Juno News article is not accurate in the title, and it even says so in the second paragraph of that article. So I suggest you either listen to us or you can read the article. But yes, we have a problem. That there's no fucking doubt about the fact that we have an immigration problem. It's just unfortunate that those articles get reshared and reshared and reshared in a bad context, because all that I saw was like 817 new immigrants, and I'm like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
As soon as I started researching it, I'm like, okay, hold on, that's not quite accurate. They're not necessarily new.
Exactly.
They're not fresh off the boat, as we would say. Right. So
yeah, that included in that 817,000 number is many new immigrants, but it also includes some, work permit extensions. So people who are already here, and some of them are people who just became permanent residents, which means they were already here. So what the real number we're looking for is how many new people, and that number is still probably really high. It's probably 500,000.
Fuck yeah.
Probably 600,000 maybe. But that's why we were saying it's so important to get the numbers right, because for people who don't want to believe your argument, all they do is when they see that, it just gives them an excuse to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And that's why, it is important to correct the record, because the actual numbers are bad enough. They're bad enough to make the point that we're making here.
And they're probably worse than we think, because Carney did promise 5% of immigration per year, and that works out to be 2 million people a year, which is more than what Trudeau has been letting in. So we have a big enough fucking problem without resharing articles that are clickbait. They're not accurate. So that's all I'm saying, Nancy, but I agree with the sentiment that we do have a fucking problem.
Yep, 100%.
Where do you want to go next? I give you two choices. We either talk about Trump and his new tariffs, or we talk about Imane Khelif. Which one you want?
Let's do Trump first, and then we'll have time for both. So,
we have plenty of time for both.
Yep. Let's jump to Trump first, and then we'll do Khelif.
So over the weekend, Mr. Trump, Mr. President Trump does what he does best, and he pissed people off. Again, that's kind of what he does, right? But keep in mind that before we go into the actual video, just keep in mind that last week, 3 federal judges for international trade, blocked him from doing the tariffs. So I will play a video from CNNBC that will talk about what Trump is proposing, and it is an increase on steel and aluminum from 25% to 50% tariffs. But just keep in mind that as much as Trump is talking about it, technically he's been blocked last week. So he's just flapping his gums right now. And we're all making a big deal out of it because Trump does what Trump does best, and he's good at having people talk about his policies, talk about him. There's a good reason why he's the most spoken about man on the planet, right? So
he knows
here
how to,
is the
generate the conversation for sure.
He's able to post on Truth Social, which has basically nobody on, and gets his posts reshared everywhere. Love Trump or not, that dude's brilliant, is a brilliant marketer. Plain and simple. I'm 100%. Gonna play this video, but I'm running to the bathroom fast because my old body needs to go. Yeah.
Cool. Let's do it.
In Pennsylvania on Friday, President Trump said he's going to raise steel tariffs to 50%, even as he announced his approval for a deal for Nippon Steel to merge with U.S. Steel. Now, it's a transaction that he once opposed, but now calls a blockbuster agreement that will ensure this storied American company stays an American company. But he said Friday it was Nippon Steel that eventually persuaded him that the deal made sense.
They kept asking me over, and I kept rejecting it. No way, no way, no way. And after about 4 times, I said, you know, these people really want to do a great thing. They really want it. And they're putting up, you know, billions of dollars, and they're going to do this plant and other plants, and it's great, and you're going to have control.
Now, the president avoided calling the transaction an acquisition or a merger with U.S. Steel, instead referring to it as a partnership and an investment. But it was his announcement of increased steel tariffs that provoked a global response over the weekend. An EU spokesperson said, "We strongly regret the announced increase of U.S. tariffs on steel imports from 25 to 50%. This decision adds further uncertainty to the global economy and increases costs for consumers and businesses on both sides of the Atlantic." The president said the new steel tariffs will go into effect on June 4th, and the European Union said that its own enhanced countermeasures could go into effect in response by July 14th or earlier, as they put it, if circumstances require. Guys, back over to you.
All right, Imane.
So tariffs, and more
tariffs. Yeah.
And more tariffs. So yeah. I think we get the gist of it. I don't need to play the whole video, but it's just Trump doing what Trump does best. Because keep in mind, last week his tariffs got blocked. So until we know what
was that all of his tariffs, or was it just some of them?
From what I understand, he did not have what the judges were debating and what they blocked. And remember, one was appointed. There was 3 judges. One was from Ronald Reagan. One was from Obama, and one was from Trump himself. So we're talking about as different as judges as you can get. But what they were blocking is the executive order, that because Trump is using an emergency as the reason why he's pushing those tariffs. And those judges were just like, no, you can't do that. So that's what they're kind of trying to stop, is not necessarily the tariffs themselves, but in the way, the tools that he used in order to try to put them in place. So it's interesting that he's saying that, and Trump is brilliant at having people talk about what he wants them to talk about. So Trump did what he did best, and he pissed people off, and now everybody's in outrage and people are complaining.
Oh yeah, no, he definitely pissed people off. That's what he does best. I think. I mean, on one hand, I think it's just been tariffs. I think he kind of tuned it out at this point. You wonder how much of his actual real policy and how much is just Trump riffing on whatever, because he just how he gives his speeches, right? He just
He's a mega troll, bro.
Yeah, he just riffs off whatever he wants, and then you never hear about it again. Do you remember and maybe something's still going to come of it, but do you remember when he first got president, he talked about how they were going to take over, America was going to take Gaza. And like, that's a pretty major U.S. policy change. And then just never heard of it again. Never really.
I'm pretty sure the Trump Hotel is already there.
Yeah, of course it is. But yeah, it's just, he just kind of says things sometimes. And then that's why it's kind of so jarring when some of the things he says, he actually does. But with Trump, you can never really listen to what he says. You kind of got to read the tea leaves a little bit.
Tea leaves.
The
Jesus.
tea leaves. If you're really paying attention,
you bones on the ground and
yeah, exactly right. Yeah, chicken bones. if you're really paying attention, you can pick out the topics he really cares about based on how he's talking about them. But to me, the way he was talking about that just sounds like the kind of thing that he just says when he riffs off something and it doesn't really think too much about it. Obviously, as Canadian, I prefer we don't have tariffs, but it is what it is. We'll take a few of these comments because there's a
before you do, just let me play this because again, our bald-headed friend Mario had something to say about this. I don't normally share that much about him, but it's like, in the last video, he wasn't quite accurate. As much as he was still selling the idea that it was still true. Yep. And now he's digging again. So that's why I wish that people could separate themselves from their actual policies. Like, no matter if they're liberal and conservative, and just see them for what it is. Let's just admit that Trump's a troll. You have no fucking idea if that's true. And I don't even know if Mario realizes that there were federal judges last week that blocked his tariffs because they're like, you can't do them through executive order, bruh. So let's just see what he has to say because he does have a great following. So here is Mario for the North, and I always forget what his name is.
We are going to be imposing a 25% increase. We're going to bring it from 25% to 50%, the tariffs on steel into the United States of America, which will even further secure the steel industry in the United States. Nobody's going to get around that.
So this is much worse than you may think. He's not doing it just to steel, he's doing it to steel and aluminum. Canada produces nearly 13 million tons of steel annually. It exports 90% of that steel to the US. It also puts Donald Trump in a very tough scenario because he's going to cause inflation since nearly 1/4 of all the steel that gets imported into the US comes from Canada. Now, the place that's going to be hit the hardest, it's going to be Hamilton, and it's going to hurt Stelco and other steel companies significantly. Aluminum is just as bad. Canada produces about 3.3 million tons a year. Of that, the steel that the US imports from Canada, they get more than half of it from us. In fact, nearly 90% of Canada's aluminum exports go to the US. And the place that's going to get hit the hardest, it's going to be Quebec. Now, the UK was hit with tariffs after Canada. Canada and Mexico were the first to be hit with them. But the UK was able to secure a deal with the United States and create a scenario where both parties were happy. Canada has yet to negotiate anything. And this is now becoming an issue of the utmost importance, which needs to be dealt with immediately. Mark Carney has not addressed this at all. He has not addressed it head on, and he needs to start actually dealing with it and negotiating a deal directly with Trump's administration. Because
I don't like the way he brings it up, as that he's making it sound like it's a done deal and Trump is not just mega trolling like he does all the time. But I agree with his final message to say, because his numbers are right. I know those numbers, and he's bang on when it comes to the amount of imports that the US buy from us, or exports, like our exports, their imports. So he's right. Like, most of it ends up in the US. And Marx Carney does need to deal with a problem, which he has not addressed at all.
Well, yeah, it is a problem. It's a real
problem. Oh, yeah, because you know that he's fucking with the markets. By saying those things, he can plunge prices for what's the two companies that he shit
Stelco
Stelco.
and
There's another one out of aluminum out of Quebec. Actually, they used to be around where I grew up.
Okay.
But yeah, all to say that he doesn't mention the fact that there's a legal battle right now between Trump and the federal judges. But still, his idea is right. But I always find it interesting when they don't seem to provide the whole information, because people are going to see this, they're going to be outraged, but then there's still a battle going on right now as to is it legal or not what he's doing. And you look at what Sasquatch is saying, the judicial branch has no say that we can agree on. Remember when he declared an emergency at the beginning on energy? Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, but at the same time, those were not just circus judges, as I like to call them. They're not circuit judges. They're federal judge on international trades. So those are the people responsible for it. So I don't know if you're right or wrong, but from what I understand, they're able to challenge him on it. So
yeah,
I guess time will see. I'll see if there's an update as we're talking right now.
And I'll just because that was like the third or fourth comment down, and actually a pretty interesting debate here between these two commenters, Sasquatch and Joe. So Sasquatch starts off with Nico and Rob. The court agreed with Trump because they had to. Trump has 100% power over tariffs. The judiciary branch of our government has no say over tariffs. They will lose every time, which, I mean, to me, that sounds pretty accurate. But Joe says, in the Constitution, the power to levy taxes and duties is the exclusive province of Congress. I don't know where tariffs falls in that, but to me, it would be some sort of a duty, at least, a levy or duty. And then Sasquatch says, Joe, you are correct, except under emergency powers of the president, which gives him full authority over tariffs. Joe says, what emergency? LOL. And then Sasquatch says the judicial branch has no say on that. We can agree. Remember when he declared emergency at the beginning of the energy. So the debate to me, it hinges, because both those are great points by both commenters. But correct, it's what defines an emergency, right?
They're not debating the tariffs, they're debating the emergency.
Yeah, is it a valid emergency? I mean, we all know there is not an actual emergency, but an actual emergency versus a legal emergency is a different thing. The president can technically declare an emergency for anything he wants. As Sasquatch says, he declared an emergency at the beginning, an energy emergency. Like, okay, what does that actually mean? Like, is there actual emergency? No, probably not. But he doesn't need to have an actual emergency as long as he can do some legalese and say, here's some statistics that support my argument. Therefore, I'm declaring an emergency. That probably would stand up in a court of law.
But you know what's interesting is that now I'm looking at it. I'll just show my screen here, and they're all saying different things. So tariffs get to stay in place for now 3 days ago.
Yep.
Appeal court temporary blocked Trump's tariffs 3 days ago. So you can see even Fox News, federal judge blocked 5 Trump's tariff executive orders. So I don't even know. As I'm saying this, I'm looking, every single one is different, and they're all from the left, from the right. BBC is not even fucking American. So I got a lefty one that says that, they're blocked. I got another one that says from the BBC that says they get to stay in place. The tariffs are still good. Now Fox is saying, they blocked it. So I don't know. I really don't fucking know. This is what Trump is so good at.
Yeah, just causing confusion everywhere, right?
You can't even fucking... Already I don't trust the news. Now I'm really not trusting the news, and I can't really trust what Trump is saying either, because he likes to troll people, so I don't even fucking know if he means it or not.
I think he really loves when just people are talking about him, and I don't think he cares anyway, like what they're saying. That certainly is part of it. Then there's people, like us commentators and just the general public who are trying to make sense of it all, and we're all kind of, nobody knows anything. Joe says Trump is thus far beyond all reproach. This is demonstrated by the fact that he's still walking free, much less in the White House, despite what we already know about him. Well, okay, like what do you think he should be in jail for? Because that I don't believe the thing that he was 17-time convicted felon. First of all, they invented 17 charges out of one thing. He paid off a stripper because he didn't want his wife to know, because he wouldn't be the first politician who paid someone off.
She wasn't a stripper. She
And
was a
porn
porn
star.
actress.
And I'm sure it wasn't just
An
his wife.
actress, bro. Stop it. She's an actress.
Yes. I'm sure it was because he didn't want to sink his political, an actress. Didn't want to sink his political campaign. That is not the first politician who has ever done that. No one else I know of has gone to jail for it. I do not believe that's a legitimate jailing offense. A fine of some sort, sure, okay, I buy that. The campaign should have to pay a fine or whatever, but the real damage is in the public opinion, and the public clearly didn't give a shit. But like, what do you think he should be in jail for? Because I mean, I don't hate him as much. I don't hate the guy. I don't like him. I think, you said somewhere up in the comments he's like a toddler with his finger on the nuclear codes. Yeah, I think toddler is a kind of an accurate description of his psyche or his psychological makeup. Not a literal toddler, of course, but I know what you mean. But I don't see anything that should put him in jail. Sasquatch says
it's one of those things. If you can hate Trump all you want, the Democrats in the US use the justice system to go after him. No questions about it.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
those 34 felonies were all bullshit. Nobody's ever been in prison for those type of things, yet they were trying to get him in prison.
Yeah.
As Sasquatch is saying, he's basically right. Love Trump or not, he didn't put the porn star expense under the right category on that line item. It's almost that like
basically
so,
you didn't deduct it from the porn star expense account.
You can hate the guy and think he's an idiot and think that cheating on his wife was wrong, and you know what, the moral value of it, no problem. But he was never going to fucking jail for this. This was all fucking propaganda.
Nor should he have.
No, but this is what's such a big problem with the Democrats in the US, is that they will literally do anything they can in order to make other people look bad, and all it does is backfires in their faces.
Yeah,
that's all it fucking does.
Clearly, because the public. For politicians, I think the bar should be a little bit higher, because it should be
a lot higher.
Yeah, you should discourage federal government from going after them. Like, if we're talking like bread and butter crimes, of course, they should be held to the same standard. If we're talking murder, assault, any of the normal crimes, hit and run.
That dude ain't assaulting anybody.
No, but the real, let the public speak, right? And the public spoke, and they didn't care. So Joe says the bigger crime was stealing and selling classified documents, which was dismissed by a Florida judge that he appointed. No, I agree. If you actually did that, then that is a serious crime. Is it? Honestly, I haven't seen any hard data that he did. I mean, if you could drop a link, maybe over in the Discord or even here in the chat, but. And even the thing is, when you see them clearly going after them on the porn star thing, it really hurts their arguments. Because then it's like, okay, well, the porn star thing, I know that was just a witch hunt, a political witch hunt. So then when the next thing I say says, oh, we stole classified documents, I'm like, okay, really? Like, really? If they had a smoking gun, then show it to me.
He'd be in jail.
Yeah.
The point in the matter is that Hillary Clinton did something even worse than Trump was accused of. She was using a fucking private server to exchange secret information, to get her contacts and speak to people, actual documents those emails, there's a good reason why they're supposed to be behind the government firewalls. That's a problem. You want to go after Trump, go after those numbnuts that we're talking about, about bombing other countries on WhatsApp or on Telegram. That's actually fucking wrong. And they're just, no problem, don't worry about it. Those are problems, but they burn themselves by going after stupid felonies that nobody goes to jail for. So they fucking shot themselves in the foot. We can argue on this one, Joe, as much as you want, but you don't like Trump from the get-go. So I don't think we're ever going to be able to have an actual conversation about Trump, because your feelings for Trump are all I can see is that you really dislike the guy. But at the end of the day, the Democrats are doing the same fucking thing, and they just look stupid when they're trying to go after a Republican for doing something that they let their own VPs get away with. So it just looks stupid for all of us. And if you had political points to score, that was not it. That was definitely not it. Because like Trump or not, he spun this to his advantage. The picture that he took when he got arrested, he looks like a badass on that picture. And he's just like, they used it as marketing because one thing that Trump does, he's a mega troll and he knows how to use his marketing power to his advantage. I just wanted to cover one of the things that Sasquatch is saying, because he was saying that
where is it?
He's saying that they blocked it, Trump appealed, and the High Court agreed with Trump. The tariffs are on. Where do you see that? I cannot find an article that confirms what you're saying, bro. So I saw that they appealed it, and this literally was posted 10 minutes ago by ABC News. They're saying Trump administration appeals second ruling blocking tariffs.
That's just happening right now?
Literally, as I was doing some research, I refreshed my Google search, and it got posted as I was looking. But I don't see what you're talking about. And I'm not saying you're wrong, Sasquatch. I just don't see where those articles are, because everything I can find of, except for the new ABC News article that literally just got published, is all saying it's all yes, they're on, not no, they're not, yes, they're on. So I don't know. I really, really don't know. But if you know where you got it from, if you got your source, let me know, because I'd like to see it.
We'll find it out sooner or later, yeah.
Well, he's saying I'll post it in the Discord. See, that is a brilliant place and perfect segue. 1 hour and 45 minutes in to just say, guys, if you're on X, you like what you're seeing, make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to share the stream, because that's really what you can do to help us out on X. But if you really want to join the conversation, make sure to join the YouTube channel at the Poli Orphans, because as you see right here, all the comments that you see are always coming from YouTube, and there's a lot of intelligent people having conversations without even us being involved. Like, they're just challenging each other, and it's awesome for us because we get to show it, we get to talk about it, and I get to do more research as we're talking to see who's right, who's wrong, and if there's information that I missed. But the point is, if you want to join the conversation, make sure to be on the YouTube channel. Once you're there, make sure to subscribe to the channel. But if you like what we do, if you believe that what we're doing is needed, make sure to subscribe to our monthly membership. It's $2.99 a month. So not only does it give you priority comment, but it will also give you access to the members only Discord, where Sasquatch is going to go post an article right now. So if the article makes sense, I'm going to share it and we're going to talk about it. So if you want to influence the show, join the Discord server, $2.99 a month. On top of that, your wife or your husband will thank us, because if they're tired of you talking politics with them, guess what? You get to do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with other people that want to talk politics with you. So there you have it.
Yep. No, it's a great segue into that. Nice little pitch. So should we jump on to the next thing?
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I was just trying to see if not Joe, but if Sasquatch has posted it. He hasn't posted anything yet. So yes, let's go to a topic. You know what? Let's make a small one before we go into Imane Khelif, because
let's do Imane. Let's do it.
I want to do one that will piss people off, just because I guess that's kind of what I do. But I don't know what's worse. What Rob Ford did, or how CTV News is reporting it. I don't know what's worse. I think they're both together. I think, wow, it's hard. That video, the video I'm going to show is going to piss you off. But the point is that Rob Ford has, hold on, I keep on saying Doug Ford, Rob Ford. Rob Ford's been dead for a while. I'm talking about Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, and all of the 124 Ontario MPPs are getting a 35% raise after a 16-year salary freeze. So they literally just voted themselves a 35 fucking salary increase. Listen to this.
Who should make more money? Ontario MPPs or Toronto City Councillors? Even after voting themselves a significant pay increase, MPPs are still paid less. They have now done away with a 16-year wage freeze and will be paid 3/4 of what their federal counterparts get. Winning a seat at Queen's Park will now come with a base salary of $157,000 a year. That's a 35% increase. It will also come with a pension after 6 years of service. MPPs have not received a pension in 3 decades since the Harris government.
Is it the pleasure of the House that the motion carried?
In a legislature known for political division, unfreezing salaries had politicians singing each other's praises.
Surprise, surprise.
I'd like to thank
Nonpartisan
Premier Ford and his government for, quite frankly, having the guts to do this.
I too would like to thank the government for all the work that they've done.
Frozen.
Having the guts. Can't
Thank
believe
God.
Doug Ford is such a great liberal leader because he had the guts to vote.
to give us more money. Fuck's sakes, man.
No, but hold on. It gets worse. It gets worse.
In place since 2009, MPP salaries in Ontario will now be tied to their federal counterparts, making 75% of an MP in Ottawa. The increase will also add $6 million to the current fiscal year. For years, successive Ontario governments have struggled with the thorny issue of pay, watching as compensation for other levels of government increased. Even with the raise, a Toronto City Councillor earns $13,000 more a year than an MPP.
16 years to have zero increase, I don't think is the right thing. And I think so today what we're doing is putting in place what I believe and my colleagues believe is the right thing to do
is the right thing to do while Canadians are struggling, while 25% of Canadians say that they live in poverty, where they struggle affording food, where 85% of Canadians are said to be living paycheck to paycheck. We got a bunch of overpriced fucking politicians telling us that they needed a 35% increase so that they can make more than 150 grand a year. This is basically what this video is all about. And if it didn't get any worse, look at the face that fucking twat Doug Ford has when walking out of that. Like, you know, we all grew up with a kid that had one of those faces you wanted to punch.
Yeah, the punchable face.
That's that guy right there.
We're looking for other candidates, qualified people to actually direct the future of the.
He's telling us that we need to pay them more because we need to attract better candidates. Are you fucking kidding me?
Come on. That's going to attract, like, that's the whole point. Paying them more attracts worse candidates because it attracts greedy pieces of shit. You want better quality politicians, pay them less. Make sure that there'd be no reason anybody would want to do it unless they really cared, unless they really wanted to serve their province or their community.
Maybe they're raising the prices of their salaries so that they can attract more foreign workers to become politicians, right?
Yeah. What a ridiculous thing to say. Pay us more to attract. Shut up.
For most of them, they have to take a huge pay cut to come
here.
Oh,
no!
For Doug Ford, the legislation means an $80,000 increase.
Tell me you don't want to
in Ontario. He'll make $282,000 a year.
But listen to this. I know I talked over the speech because I wouldn't even punch him. I would flying knee him right in the fucking throat. That fat ass neck of his. But listen to how much more money he's going to be making. It's something like 75 grand.
The legislation means an $80,000 increase. As Premier of Ontario, he'll make $282,000 a year. By contrast, as Prime Minister, Mark Carney makes $419,000. And as Mayor of Toronto, Olivia Chow makes $225,000. A 35% increase in one go is significant, and MPPs know it, which is why the government put out a technical briefing in advance of the legislation coming out to say that if MPP salaries had gone up by the rate of inflation for the last 16 years, it would have been even higher than a 35% increase. Alan Carter, City News.
How about we simply tie their salaries to the national average? If you want to make more money, guess what? Make it so that Canadians make more money. What a fucking idea that would be.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Tied to the GDP growth while they're under their term. But of course, no, they would never want to do that. But that would make too much sense. Tie it directly to the performance of the country or the province or whatever type of politician they are. But they wouldn't do that. They never would do that.
But how is it possible that a bunch of politicians are capable of voting themselves promotions or more money? Like, how is that even allowed? How, if you're talking about a referendum that should be had every single time this happens, it should go through. In this case, it should have been put to a vote of the Ontario people should have decided. Do you think that your MPP deserve a 35% raise? Yay or nay? Plain and simple. And if it is found to be no, guess what? You don't get to have one until you're reelected, asshole. You don't get to ask the question again until you run for reelection so that we can assess, you know what? He did a good job. He didn't do a good job. You know what? Maybe we should add this. Not only should there be a referendum, but we should get to decide at the end of the year if they get their salary. They shouldn't be able to get to touch their salary until we decide, you know what? When I used to work for the men, I would have some bonuses. A lot of people have bonuses. And you know what? It was done on performance. If I sucked ass the whole year, guess what? My boss wasn't giving me a promotion, wasn't giving me a bonus. So why the fuck is this any different? If you want a raise, no problem. We'll tell you if we accept or not. You want to touch your salary at the end of the year? No problem. Let us analyze how well you've done your job and we'll sign up on it or not. But guess what? You don't get to vote yourself a fucking salary increase because you're so poor at $150,000 a year. Fuck off.
Yeah. I mean, it's not much else you can say besides to add on to what you said. It's ridiculous all around. Take a few of these comments there. Perry starts off with they're all overpaid. Yeah, and I mean that if you remember at the beginning of the segment, they were talking about it like it was like
they're suffering.
They're like members of parliament make even less than city council.
That doesn't mean river.
That doesn't mean the MPP should make more. It means city council should be making much less. That's what that means. But of course, they take the other angle.
You know what they should do? Instead of taking our money, they should learn from Nancy Pelosi in order to make money on the market instead. She doesn't ask for promotions. She don't need the promotion.
Yeah,
she just needs a title in order to know what's coming and invest appropriately. Amateur. Just like Sasquatch is saying. Sasquatch is saying, wanting a raise, amateurs. I'll add to this to say you should do what Nancy Pelosi does and really fuck the system.
Just use that sweet insider information. You don't even need a raise after that. That's how you build. You think Nancy Pelosi built $250 million in net worth from raises? You think she got that from raises? Come on, brother.
No.
Get with the program. You gotta use what they gave you, and what they gave you is that sweet inside dope. So let's see. Prairie says it's ridiculous. Dave B says, ask the homeless how they feel.
They were almost homeless. Hey, they were only making a few, like $120,000 a year, bro. They were in the streets in Toronto.
Should be the homeless that decide if they get a raise or not.
That's a good point. I like how, but like you said, I like how, that's why I chose that video, because he's making it sound like, oh, it's so unfair that they're only making, he compared fat ass Ford to Carney. One runs a province, the other one runs Canada, and they should be more equal. Are you like that is DEI right there. That is DEI policy right there. So now the conservative politicians, because Doug Ford is a conservative, you might have forgotten because he's more liberal than the liberals, but Doug Ford is a conservative. I wonder if the people in Ontario, if we have any people in the comment section that actually is in Ontario and that thought they were electing a conservative premier. Are you happy with the way Mr. Doug Liberal Ford has been acting?
Yeah. I just like how they're all congratulating each other as if it was some act of political courage. You know, he did that political. It was so politically courageous for us to vote to give ourselves more money. Like fucking shut the fuck up, man. You guys are ridiculous, all of you. Sasquatch says Canada's facing its greatest crisis ever. Isn't that what they say? The same people giving themselves raises and going on summer vacation. You can't make well, yeah, because it's such a big crisis that they need all the extra rest and relaxation, and they need all the extra money to get them through this crisis. They need to be at their best. They need to be very rested and very comfortable in order to get us through this crisis. It's a real crisis. Just trust them.
Nothing like coming back from a vacation and you're like, you know, man, I just had 5 months off. I need another vacation.
Yeah, exactly, right?
But before I do, maybe I should raise. We should get a raise too, because that next vacation is going to be expensive. I need to have the money to cover it.
No, of course, right? Like, and yeah, we've got all this extra vacation time. We got to have money to spend during it. I mean, come on, guys, we got to be at our best for this crisis. And he says, 100%. Who would sign up to become MPP? I assume she means like who would ever become an MPP if they're only getting paid $150,000? No one would ever do that. I mean, that's not nearly enough. Fact of the matter is,
that tells you why people go in politics.
Yes.
It ain't about
those are the people that you do not want to go to. Anyone who wants to go into politics for the money is not somebody that you want to be there in politics.
Yet, good job, bro.
Yeah,
voted ourselves more money. I cannot believe how courageous Doug Ford is.
That took a lot of courage.
Because this is a big problem that all Canadians can agree with. Our politicians don't make enough money, and it's about time that somebody like Doug Ford actually stepped up to the plate and did the right thing.
Give them the
fuck out of here.
The recognition that they deserve for all their
and you
hard.
Saw that fucking grin.
For all their hard work.
Fucking grin. Like, look, I'm gonna remove the sound. I'm just gonna play just the part where that motherfucker is walking back. Like, look at the grin right there. Like tell me you don't want to smack him.
Boys, we did it. We did it, boys.
Like, you're telling me that guy's suffering? He could literally go on a 30-day fast, like just water, and he'd still be obese.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like that guy's suffering.
Oh yeah.
That guy's suffering.
Boys, we did it. It was a long, hard slog, but we did it. We finally got the money that we deserve.
Oh man, I want to smack that guy.
Mad Dog says civil servants should never be allowed to vote themselves a raise. Time for jail, no bail for these criminals. Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with the first sentence there. There's got to be a better system. Maybe, you know, as Nico was saying, some system based on a number of different metrics so that they're getting paid by at least some connection to their performance. But I mean,
100%.
That's stupid though. Ask in what universe does anyone get to decide their own fucking raise, right? Who's ever going to say no to that? No, I'm not going to give myself a raise. Like, of course.
Especially when, you know, there's a difference between having the upper management voting themselves salary increases based on how the company's performing. But we're talking about fucking politicians that do not produce money.
No.
Those guys only have budgets because they tax us. That's the only way they create money outside of Nancy Pelosi, obviously. But those people are not creating money. They're taxing yours. And then they're telling you, oh, we need more of your money. That's what you should hear. We are going to vote ourselves a raise out of your money because we need more of your money. Oh, and by the way, sorry, we just added $6 million to our yearly budget, and we didn't really plan on to where that money would come from, so we're going to tax you more. Thank you, but we deserved it. We needed it because it'd been 16 years. Thank you, though. They didn't even say thank you. They didn't even say thank you.
No, well, they said thank you to each other for doing the right thing, for doing the politically courageous thing.
Politically courageous.
That's so funny. That is hilarious. It is
I
not,
wonder how much that guy from CTV News got paid to actually run that fucking piece of garbage.
It's like your boss says to you, all right, so we did our year end this year, and we're going to offer you a 20% raise. Would you like to take it or no? And you say, well, yeah, I'll take it. And like, oh, that's so courageous. That took a lot of courage right there. Shut the fuck up, man. You guys are idiots. Wise Guy says, I never voted, but I was surprised when Doug started sucking Trudeau's cock. Yes, that is, yeah, I mean, that I was surprised too. And the way he really was clearly against Polyev on the election. Now, obviously, there's a lot of criticism of Polyev around these parts, and say what you will about him, but he's still the conservative option. And you would think the conservative leader of Ontario would at least in at least lukewarm support for him, even if he didn't support him directly, at least something like attacking Carney, at least. So like, I'm not going to support Polyev, but I'm definitely going to say don't go Carney, which is kind of indirect support of Polyev. But yeah, I was surprised at that as well. Cheryl says taking raises while Canadians are struggling to make ends meet is spitting in taxpayers' faces. Outrageous. It is. People are going to be, and they have every right to be upset. Tammy, she kind of agrees with Wise Guy here. I live in Ontario. Ford exposed himself when he aligned himself with Trudeau. He's definitely no conservative. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing there, what the strategy is. I don't know what kind of triangulation he's doing. Or maybe he just doesn't care and he's just doing whatever's easiest in the exact moment. Sasquatch, the people who will take the job because they love Canada and want it to be successful almost never get elected. And yeah, that's the problem, right?
Because it would be guys like me that would be swearing on camera saying, hey guys, wake the fuck up. We need to stop this shit. This is why people like me will never get elected, because we would tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Sasquatch says Doug Ford is a bottom. That's a power bottom right there. Yeah.
Actually, he's a bottom and he likes to be on his knees, elbows up, bitches.
Yeah. Elbows up. Mad Dog says if they run a deficit, no raise. If the budget is in the black, then maybe a raise. That would also depend on employment rates, homelessness, and infrastructure. Yeah, I like the idea. I'd like to see someone really study it and come up with a system that would work. Start with a base salary right now that, they have to live, that will allow them to live and pay some bills and whatnot. And other than that, every raise beyond that will be based on performance, based on a basket of metrics that someone smart has put together and crunched all the numbers.
That does not work for the government.
That does not work for the government, correct?
Because obviously those people are going to want more money and they're all going to vote themselves another raise.
Well, I mean, they're courageous. They're politically courageous people, so they're gonna do that.
So let's talk about, because we're gonna run out of time, I want to talk about Imane Khelif.
Yes,
this is something I've been talking about ever since it happened last year. And just so you guys know, Imane Khelif's new medical report was leaked over the weekend. And if you
just give a little bit of backstory,
I was going to say, so if you don't remember who that guy is, he's the dude that was boxing women at the Paris Olympic last year. So he's a dude that was born with a micro penis and internal testicles, but somehow the dude is a woman. But before I show an article that kind of gives a little background story to it, I thought this was fucking hilarious. So I Googled it, Imane Khelif, new leak report, enter. Sends me on the Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a page that Canadian will get sometimes, but bazing, restricted video. This video is not available in your country.
Interesting.
And you click on the Y. We received a legal request to restrict this content. Oh, cool.
Interesting.
Then I found another one. This is a different page. I just closed my browser.
Yep.
This is another page that I found online on the Google. Brings me to Instagram. Different video. Same thing. This has been blocked. So we're talking, because I don't know if you guys remember this, but his lawyers, he picked a lawyer in France to go after the people like Elon Musk, for example, that were complaining, that were saying, how can we have a dude boxing women at the Olympics? Because not only was he boxing dudes, but he won. He became a woman gold medalist as a dude. And it's interesting, but I put you to the exercise to go on Google and try to find Canadians talking about this, because they're all getting blocked.
Really?
So, yep. So this is from fucking India. I had to go to the Hindus time.
The Hindustan Times.
And I found another one afterwards. I found one from, I believe it was the Toronto Sun, but they're very smart in the way they're formulating the headline, because this one is literally Imane Khelif's shocking medical report. Does it reveal she's a man or she's
male? Even the way you're framing it is ridiculous.
Yep.
Yes, everyone knows in 2025 there's male women and female women. Like, fuck up.
But what's funny is I believe it was here. Ah, there you go. So the IBA, the International Boxing Association, which is recognized as being one of the top organizations in the world, it is, if I'm not mistaken, it is the first or the second when it comes to amateurs. Khelif was prohibited from participating because his chromosome came back as dude.
XY.
Yes. So this is just to put it into perspective. We got a biological, see right here, at least the Indians are being honest, or Hindustan time is being honest, as much as they said that she's a man. Khelif is a biological male, according to the medical report. This is really that fucking easy. He's a dude. I've been saying this since last year. When you show me that your chromosomes are XY, I don't give a fuck that your parent treated you as a woman. If you guys don't know what that dude looks like let me just Google
there's all kinds of pictures showing him being looking very male. I mean, this is the Olympics. You cannot have a male in there.
He's not looking very male. He is very male. Like that looks like a woman to you?
Well, yes. I mean, no, it doesn't.
Like even with makeup.
Yeah, look at that. Makeup. Come on, man. Come the fuck on. So
dude.
If you remember the story, this man won the women's gold boxing medal, or the women's boxing gold medal at the Olympics in Paris, and there's a huge controversy at the time because people like me, and I think you said you were talking about this last year.
I got in trouble for talking about it.
Yeah, we're talking about this. We're saying this is a man, this is a male. We all knew it because the year before, the IBA disqualified him because they did chromosome testing. Now, interestingly, what happened was the IOC then took away the IBIA's right to host, because usually how it works is the IOC doesn't actually host each of the events. They pick like the global governing body. So like to run the gymnastics, they'll have like the World Gymnastics Association. They just give authority to one, and they gave authority to the IBA to run the boxing. The boxing said, no, this is a man. And then the IOC took their authority away and said, we'll run the boxing this year. So they allowed this man to compete. So it is just a man. And so it was, this isn't a secret. Nothing that came out on the weekend is new. But what came out is it got picked up by mainstream media that let me see here. I'll share here. A blood test, the medical report was leaked. Can you?
Yeah, I was looking at Imane Khelif's Instagram.
Yes, okay.
Obviously, he's not talking about this.
No, he would not. There isn't a whole lot you can say. So this is what
came out. But it's not like he has 1.9 million followers, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it says a blood test leaked by Olympic press committee member Alan Abrahamson confirms that Algerian boxer Imane Khelif is male. So this test was actually done in 2023. What came out, it was just the test leaked over the weekend, and it got picked up by mainstream media for the first time. But this is what we all knew the test was out there, but we didn't see it. So as you can see down here, interpretation. Chromosome analysis reveals male karyotype. So, and then says no numerical or structural anomalies. So it's not a weird anomaly. It's just a male. It's an XY. Now, some people might be asking, how could this have happened? How can just a male? Because they kind of wanted to make a trans thing. And Khelif isn't even trans per se. He's not saying he was male and identified as a woman. He is just saying he's a woman. We all know that he's not by his, with our eyeballs, but also by, these reports. So
other types of balls.
Yeah, exactly right. People are wondering how this could have happened. And so what almost certainly is going on is, I don't know if you know of heard of an athlete named Tariffs Imane. There was a runner from South Africa who won the gold medal in the women's 800. Very masculine looking woman. And it turns out later that he has what is a DSD, or is intersex, which is a condition known as 5-ARD. 5-ARD is a condition that only occurs in men. It is essentially a birth defect in your genitals. And what happens is, if you actually look at a baby born with 5-ARD, they will look like a baby's vagina. And especially since Khelif was born in a rural Algerian village that probably had just some uneducated midwife, he was declared a woman or a girl, and then would have been raised that way. And that's all fine. Like, you can understand the mistake. So just a little bit of if you can see here on the top left, if I can zoom in, that is what someone with 5-ARD actually looks like. You can see it looks very similar to, and this far left, the stage 1, stage 2. If he's anywhere in the top 3 on the left, you could see how he could be considered a female because of his genitalia, but he is a male. He has testicles. They are inside of his body. They're not able to be seen. And once he hit puberty, that would have become clear to him, because he would have virilized just like any other male. His voice would have deepened. He would have gotten muscular. He would have had facial hair all over his face. And you're thinking, in Algeria, it's probably not, you can't just say, oh, by the way, this girl's now a boy. So they probably just went with it. But make no mistake, Khelif knows that he is a male. You can understand why the first mistake happened, but it probably isn't a coincidence that he then went into female boxing, because someone probably said, oh shit, they think you're a woman. Just go into boxing. You'll have all the advantages of a man just beating the shit out of a woman. And then he took that all the way to Olympic glory or shame. And so that's the backstory there. So this is just a man. This is just a grown-ass male. Tariffs Imane, the South African athlete who won the gold in the women's 800 meters, has gone on to father children. They have taken, he can't have sex, obviously, but they take the sperm out of his body because his testicles are working. They took the sperm out of his body and impregnated his wife, because he has a wife, of course. He's the father of children. Women cannot father children. If you're producing sperm, you are a man. That is how it works. And if you have a birth defect that makes you have no penis, man, I have all the sympathy in the world for that, because that
doesn't mean you get to beat on women.
That does not mean you get to go and beat on women at the Olympics. That is bullshit. And you know, just to add a little bit more nuance to this, they actually knew. The Algerians know. Look at this.
Bro, look at the picture I'm showing right now. He's bigger than his 2 coaches. Like, literally. Like,
yeah.
Those are his coaches. He's like, hey, coaches.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And you got to remember, too, this is Algeria, right? So they have a very strictly regimented society between men and women. And if you can, yes, look at this picture here. Imane, the woman sitting on the shoulders of her Algerian trainer. That would, I promise you, remember I told you I used to date a Muslim girl all through COVID?
Yep.
She grew up in Dubai. She was actually Algerian. So I've got some insight in this culture and the society. This would not happen. And Billboard Chris posted this, and I don't know if you saw this clip. This is from yesterday. Look at it. This is also an Algerian UFC fighter. It's not to do with Khelif, Look
He's
at
not
this.
Algerian. He's not
No,
Algerian.
correct, but he's Muslim, right?
Oh yeah, he's from. He's one of the best UFC fighter of all time.
Okay.
He was champion. He's beat fucking loudmouth from Ireland.
Oh, McGregor.
Yeah, McGregor. He's man. How am I forgetting his name? But brilliant fighter. But that dude knows the difference between a man and a woman. I can tell you that much.
Oh yeah. So look at this, right? They're all shaking hands. All shaking. Woman goes.
Welcome to the show.
Sorry.
Apologize.
Can't
Thank you
shake
so
your hand.
much.
Can't shake your hand. It's against our culture. It's against our religion. Okay, that's fine. So what about this? Go back to this picture here. You know what I mean? If they genuinely thought that Imane Khelif was a woman, this picture would not exist. They would not do this. And so it isn't. Yeah, you can see how the mistake got made at first, but they know at this point what the mistake. They know that he is a man, and the Olympics knew that test result, and they allowed a man to beat the shit out of women on the world's global stage because it would have been politically incorrect to say no, because they had to pay deference to the trans cult. And if you remember how the matches went, her Khelif's second match was against an Italian girl named Carini, I think, and she got hit once and she went down and her manager threw in the towel. She said, "I've never been hit like that before, ever." And they fined her and they harassed her, and the Olympics made her go home early. The third woman she lost to, after she lost, went around the stage going XX, XX. She got kicked out too. She was harassed. The next day, she was made to tearfully apologize. So not only are they allowing a man to beat the shit out of women, they are punishing women who say this isn't right. And that's not right. What they're doing is not right. And so this is the news. This is why it's in the news, because it just came out yesterday. Oh shit. All the transphobes, we were right all along. It's just a dude. It's just a man who's got a tiny penis. And I have a lot of sympathy in the world for a man with a tiny penis.
Obviously.
But if anybody says that a man with a tiny penis should be allowed to box women in the Olympics because of his tiny penis, you don't have to listen to anything else that they have to say, because they're a fucking moron. So yeah, so that's that story.
This is the guy you were talking about, this Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Okay. Yep.
He was the best. He's considered top 5 best MMA fighters in the UFC of all time. But
where's he from?
He's from hold on, where the fuck is he from? He's from somewhere in Russia. But
is it like Chechnya or something?
No, more than that. It's like up north. He used to wrestle bears for fun. But Islamic UFC fighter refuses to shake hand of female CBS host, so it is him. But what I wanted to show you is this is his marriage. So his wife's face was not exposed. So this is the type of dude we're talking about here.
Yeah.
One of the things that I wanted to show you guys is, as you were talking, I went to his Imane Khelif's Instagram page, and you can tell like they're trying everything that they can to pose this man as a woman. But look at that, like. But one part that I found was absolutely hilarious, and I hope we can finish on a joke. So I saw this, and I've never been on his Instagram before. I'm just that much of an asshole. See this right there? Do you know what it reminded me of? This right here. Listen to this.
Talk to me. So I know these pads can be removed, but right now it's giving me very drag. Okay. Very, very like, it doesn't feel like me. I look like a man in a dress, and that's not what I want.
Oh, you look like a man in a dress. Well, maybe we could change your skeletal structure a little bit. Maybe add.
So all to say, like when I saw that picture, I'm like,
it looks like a man in a dress.
You can try to put all the clothing in the world on him. A man in a dress is still a man.
You can't change. You can't hide biology, right? You can put on all the makeup in the world you want. And I certainly have some sympathy for what 13-year-old Imane Khelif must have been going through. Oh shit, I'm not a woman. Look at in a society where there's very clear differences between men and women. But that does not give you all my sympathy goes out the door once he then decided to enter women's boxing.
Like, look at what I mean? Pictures. Look at those pictures.
Yeah. It's just a dude. It's just a dude, bro. We don't have to make it complicated. It's a dude with a small penis. He should not be fighting women.
Like, oh, see, there you go. That's the Italian woman you were talking about.
Carini. Yeah.
Like, look at the bone structure.
Oh my Jesus.
Like, I don't care. You put all the makeup in the world on him.
Yeah, set those filters to fucking, fucking level 75 if you want. But you can't get away from like reality. That's a dude. Look at that with them screaming there in the top right. Like, that ain't a woman, bro. That ain't no woman.
Like, look at the musculature. In order to achieve that type of physique, women have to cheat.
A woman, they should have to be taking large amounts of testosterone, and they will test for that. They say, "Oh, we can't do a sex test. We can't do it. It's a cheek swab." They'll be like, it's so invasive. Meanwhile, every single Olympian has to have like blood taken, which actually is invasive, but they got to pretend like a cheek swab. It's too invasive. It's all nonsense. Just take a couple of comments from Joe here.
Yeah, go for it. I'm done with it.
Yeah, I'm done with this shit. My tinfoil hat theory is that the trans cult was a Trojan horse sent to destabilize the political left, just as authoritarian fascism is riding on the right. Just look at who is hurt by trans ideology: women, children, and regular gay people. Couple major pillars of the Dem base. Yeah, I mean that's why I started to speak out against it, because I was a liberal. I mean, technically, I still am. And I'm saying, I'm like, guys, this new ideology is springing up. It's attacking all the core pillars of traditional liberal, the traditional liberal base. Why are we just allowing this to happen? It's attacking women's rights, gay rights, child safeguarding. It's attacking everything. And how is this? And I was called a far right bigot. I was called a Nazi for it. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck you guys. But that is
my world, bro.
Yeah, exactly right. That's really what pushed me out of consensus liberalism, and now I speak out against much of the issues here. Tammy,
what I always love, though, it always comes from fat women and dudes that have never competed. I used to fight as an amateur. That Olympics, just so you guys know, is amateur. It's the best amateurs in the world. In boxing, they will allow professionals to show up. But the point is that they're the best in the world. And the best male fighter, which bullshit, the best women fighter was a dude fighting other women. We're not talking about, yesterday I watched, the movie about Gran Turismo.
Mm-hmm.
I used to play Gran Turismo all the time. The new movie is actually solid. I really enjoyed watching it because it's based on a true story. But it got me thinking. I'm like, oh shit, could women compete with men in these types of events?
Yeah,
I'm like,
maybe.
Shit, I'd be open to it. And it turns out there are women that do participate in F1. Very small percentage. Obviously, it's not a popular sport for women. But the point is, there's no physical contact. Like in fighting. Have you seen what? I don't care if I used to fight at 165 pounds. That dude fought at 135 pounds. Have you seen the difference between a 165 pound man and a 165 pound woman? I show up there 6'2", 165 pounds, bro.
Oh yeah.
I'm like depleted, and I'm.
Well, it's because it's not just testosterone. It's bone density. It's fucking lung capacity. It's all sorts of
fast twitch muscle,
muscle
density. Your bones are thicker. Everything.
If you have 25% bone density, that means your punch is landing 25% harder for an equal amount of force. So yeah, it's all it's so much more than just testosterone, but they'll try to pretend that it is. As Tammy here says, if XX chromosomes and a vagina don't make you a woman, then how does a dress and lipstick make a man woman?
I love that.
Yeah, I love these trans ideologies. It's so full of contradictions like that. So of actual XX chromosomes and vagina doesn't make you a woman, but lipstick and a dress makes you a woman. It's like, and if you actually study what the arguments that they're making, you can see those kind of contradictions again and again and again and again. It's like, the ability to, it's kind of like where they say, okay, genitals does not matter if you're a man or a woman, right? Because as they say, a man can be a woman with male genitals, and yet cutting them off somehow makes you a woman. Like, how do you know, if genitals don't define your sex, how does removing them affirm your sex? It doesn't make any sense, right?
Stop with the logic. It's not
Yeah,
logical.
exactly. They'll use a logical argument when it suits them, and as soon as it doesn't, they'll use the opposite argument all the time. And that's because it's a fundamentally immoral, morally bankrupt ideology, and they have to lie about it for it to work.
I should have saved that post, but there was a post on Thread that was saying it was a picture of biology. Like biology was someone hugging gay people and then hugging trans people, saying, "Oh, men can't be women." And then in the back it said deep biology, as in the biology that we were taught is wrong. We need deep.
We need the deeper biology. Yes. So yeah, for fuck's sakes, alternative biology. Yeah, they'll change whatever facts. And actually, just the last thing I'll show here before we go is an example of what the IOC was doing at the time. So there's a press conference. It's only 20 or 30 seconds of it. This is an IOC official, and he is arguing because it was a controversy even at the time. So here is what the IOC was saying
at the Olympics. You mean? Oh yeah, that was the guy that ran the Olympics. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. IOC president. This is a top guy at the IOC.
I posted this video. I posted and commented on this video before.
Yeah, during the Olympics on this issue.
Yes, sir.
Want to own the definition of who is a woman. Some
start over.
Want to own the definition of who is a woman. And there I can only invite them to come up with a scientific based, a new definition of who is a woman. And how can somebody being born, raised, competed, and having a passport as a woman cannot be considered a woman? Some.
Oh my God.
You know what? I challenge anybody to tell. I'll challenge you to fight him. Tell me how much of a woman that feels, bro.
Well, yeah, and they do this all the time. We can't tell. How could we tell? Tell us who a woman. Well, okay, first of all, every fucking 5-year-old in the human race knows instinctively what a woman is. Up until about 5 minutes ago, it was not a controversy. We all knew it. But if you want to get into but how can we tell? Okay, I'll give you 2 facts: chromosomes and gamete production. With those 2 things, you can accurately predict someone's sex with a 99.9999999% accuracy. Males have XYs, females have XX. So there's a very tiny percentage who might have like XXY or XYY, but those are defects. Those are not the norm. It's like some people are born with a birth defect where they don't have legs. That does not mean that humans are not a 2-legged species. We are. That unfortunate person just has a birth defect. It does not define the human race. We are a binary sex species. There's only male and female. There is no scenario
to compete. This is the biggest. This is what drives me absolutely fucking ballistic. You know what? It sucks for him. It really does. I feel bad for the guy, but that doesn't mean he gets to beat on women.
No, exactly.
Where was that message lost? Like, there's exceptions and there's people. You know what? It's unfortunate, but you know what I've learned on this earth while I've been here? Life is unfair.
Yes, you can't always do. I can't compete in women's boxing. I'm not allowed, no matter how much I want to. And
does that mean we need to prevent 7 feet tall players to play basketball because there's a bunch of midgets that want to play basketball
exactly,
too?
right? That's
sorry, bruh. Like shit happens.
You don't have the parts, literally.
You have too many parts.
You have too many parts, yeah. But you know what's funny about that interview there with the IOC guy is you could tell by his little weasel words there. He knows that's a man. He said, "Who is a woman? How can you tell me that someone who was raised as a woman, who has woman on his his passport, who all that stuff?" So what you're telling me is, he's not a woman. You're just saying he was raised as one. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's not his passport that's in the ring beating the shit out of women. It's not his childhood. It's not his gender identity that's beating the shit out of women. It is his physical sexed body. It is his biologically male body doing that. And I as you said, I don't know how we got away from these absolutely common sense issues.
And you know what the worst part is that it was the International Boxing Association, as you said earlier, the IBA, that said that during the Olympic, and the WBO, the World Boxing Organization, also said that they had to remove him from competition because it turned out it was a dude. So that fucking twat, that French twatty there, that said who can define? You have two of the biggest organization in boxing telling you
that's a man.
It's a dude.
It's a dude, bro.
Who, bro? You can get
Who are we?
passport.
Who are we? How can we know?
I think it's in Canada. You're allowed to change the sex on your passport.
It's a lot of countries. I think America just changed it back. So
they said no. Like Trump came in as in fuck no. But we literally have a way to tell if somebody is mentally ill in Canada. Just look at their passport.
Well, it's funny because once they change the passport, they then use the passport as proof that they're a woman, right? They're like, hey, that's a woman. It says so on his passport. Well, yeah, but that's only because you change the rules so that anyone can say they're a woman and get female on their passport. That does not prove that he's a woman. It's just circular reasoning, circular logic. And they only do it because they know they don't have a real argument. They know they don't have a real argument, that they want men to fight women. And they need to lie and obfuscate, and people are starting to catch up to it.
And I agree with Wise Guy that the entire Olympic that year was an intentional gaslighting operation.
100%.
If you saw the way
opening ceremonies,
people were calling me out left, right, and center because I did so much content on this, and yet there was a story by that fat Jesus. You remember the whale that played Jesus in that opening ceremony that's saying, oh no, it's a Greek god. She bragged on her Instagram that it was Jesus, that they were making fun of Christians. So that whole Olympic was all gaslighting. I agree with you, Wise Guy, 1000%. You had dudes fighting women and people making fun of Christians in both the opening and closing ceremonies. And as I said from the get-go, can you imagine if they did that with the Muslim community? It wouldn't have gone on. So remember Charlie, what the fuck was it? It was in France, Charlie Hebdo. They made a caricature of Muhammad. There's a guy that bombed the fucking building. So I was just saying. They learned lessons.
Oh yeah, hard lessons learned. All right, guys, probably put a pin in her there. Thank you for being here with us today. You could have been anywhere in the world and you chose to be here with us. If you do like what you saw here, if you want to support us, best way you can do that is become a member. Yeah, you can do that through the YouTube channel. There's a become a member spot. It will give you priority comments in the comment section, as well as full access to the Discord server, where you can help decide what content, what topics we discuss day to day. On any given day, at least several of our content of our topics are taken from that server. So it's a good way for you to be, not just watch the show, but be part of it. Other than that, guys, another great show in the books. Thank you for being here, and we will catch you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. You too, Cheryl, Nancy, Wise Guy, Sasquatch. We'll check you tomorrow. Peace.